Hi, welcome to my channel. The full version of the audiobook is available on my Patreon. You can quickly find it through the link in my profile description. Thank you for your support.
Chapter 1 starts dating Sophie Turner. The spring breeze in May goes south along the port of Southampton, along the channel where the Titanic set sail, and blows towards the wide and deep English Sea. People come and go on the quaint and clean Lingang Street. Although it is not yet summer, the street is already full of youthful and beautiful miniskirts. Gu Ran stood outside the Costa coffee shop on the corner of Lingang Street, his eyes stared like light bulbs, staring blankly at the reflective glass of the coffee shop. He really wasn't looking at the miniskirts fluttering in the wind, nor was he looking at the blonde couple in the cafe exchanging ventriloquism. He was just looking at himself in the reflective glass. The young, handsome, and confused self at the same time. Could it be that Lao Tzu was born again? Moreover, is it reborn and returned to the high school days when I studied in the UK in 2010? Just a few minutes ago, Gu Ran's last memory was on November 2022, 11, when he witnessed the match where two golf friends who usually play together joined the hometown county-level team and upset the Goan team. Finally, he and other teammates drank all night to the scene of fragments. When you wake up, you actually stand outside the cafe called Costa in Southampton. Everything happened so suddenly. Qatar World Cup has not had time to watch it. Feeling the familiar taste of sea breeze in Southampton, looking at the face in the reflective glass. Gu Ran tried hard to control his emotions. But in the end I couldn't hold back. He grinned presumptuously. Earned. After reading so many online novels, it's finally my turn to be reborn. The first half of my life was full of regrets and feelings, so many wrong choices. Finally can. Hold on, don't set the flag yet. In any case, at least 12 years of youth have been earned. Drip drip dash. At this moment, the iPhone 4's phone rang suddenly. Caller, Sophie Turner. Gu Ran frowned slightly, and a memory from the past flooded his mind. Sophie Turner, Gu Ran's classmate and landlord's daughter when she was studying in the UK. Sophie is the school belle of Southampton Private High School. Not only is she excellent in character and learning, but she also shows a good acting talent at a young age. She is a popular heroine in the school drama club. And no one knows that in half a year, Sophie Turner will get the role of Sansa in the classic American drama Game of Thrones. She will become a world-class actress with her superb acting skills. Hot star. Before rebirth, Gu Ran naturally didn't know that Sophie would become a world star in the future. At that time, he was a typical nerd, and he only wanted to study hard and try his best to get into the University of Southampton. He didn't pay much attention to the situation of the beautiful daughter of the landlord's family after she went to filming. It wasn't until a few years later when he saw A Song of Ice and Fire on the screen that he realized that he had passed by a future big star. Cough cough. After complaining to himself, Gu Ran quickly adjusted his mood and connected the phone. Good afternoon. Before Gu Ran finished greeting, Sophie's angry voice came from the opposite side. Shit. You stood outside the cafe with a smirk for 5 minutes, and then greeted me with a good noon. I said Gu, wouldn't you want the whole school to laugh at me, Sophie, for having an idiot as her boyfriend? It was only then that Gu Ran remembered that his former self had indeed had a dating with Sophie for a month. Of course, it's a fake relationship. In order to get rid of the stalking by the seniors, Sophie asks the tenant Gu Ran to pretend to be her boyfriend and go out on dates from time to time, so as to dispel the minds of the endless suitors. From Sophie's point of view, these boys with half-haired hair are just little kids who don't understand anything, and it's not worth her goddess to waste her time at all. In return, Sophie promised Gu Ran that she could help him with English poetry recitation and correct his accent when she was free. Today, this cafe is where their first public date took place. Of course, in the last life, this fake date lasted only 4 weeks before Sophie got the chance to audition for Game of Thrones, and then she never went back to school until Gu Ran graduated from high school. The two people therefore go to two different worlds, and there is no intersection. After a while of silence, Sophie on the other end of the phone said angrily, I've said so much, and you just answered me with a modal particle. Although we are just acting, you have to respect the contract you signed, right? Humph, You guys Chinese people know how to study and solve problems all day long, but in real life they can't even pretend to be on a date. Can I ask you to come in quickly? Don't dawdle outside. After that, he hung up the phone directly. Hee, this little girl has a big temper. Gu Ran smiled helplessly, picked up the phone casually, opened the door and entered the cafe. The lights in the cafe are dimmed, and the aroma of coffee beans is tangy. The melodious, Titanic, theme song plays a romantic melody in a loop. When Gu Ran looked left and right to find his girlfriend, he didn't notice a waitress with a tray walking towards him in a hurry. Coincidentally, the waiter was only paying attention to the stability of the coffee cups on the tray, and didn't pay attention to Gu Ran who was parked in the aisle. Boom! The two bumped into each other. With sharp eyes and quick hands, Gu Ran helped the waitress hold the tray. Fortunately, the tray held up. Still, the cups on the tray fell to the floor and the coffee spilled all over the floor. I'm sorry, sir. The waiter hurriedly apologized. Fine. Gu Ran replied subconsciously, and a system prompt suddenly sounded in Gu Ran's mind. Light. Feeling 38 negative emotions from Tina Simpson, bubbles are forming. Tina Simpson is this waiter. Negative emotion 38 points. I can't tell that this polite and apologetic guy has a lot of resentment in his heart. That's right, after all, the coffee was spilled, not to mention cleaning the floor, and making a new cup. If it doesn't work out, I have to be urged by customers and scolded by the boss. And many more. Bubble? Could it be that not only was I reborn, but I also gained gold? Gu Ran's heart was beating violently at that moment, and then he noticed that there was a bubble emitting a dark light from under the opponent's feet at some point. A bubble with a diameter of about, centimeters. Gu Ran looked around and found that neither the waiter himself who squatted down to clean up the debris on the ground, nor the other customers who came to look at him, did not have any surprised expressions on their faces. Is it really only you who can see it? Gu Ran walked up to Bubble calmly, and moved his foot to touch it. As soon as he touched the gray bubble, it immediately shattered and turned into a ray of light, which merged into Gu Ran's body. The host picked up the skill from the ruined bubble, hand punch +1, today's pickup progress is 1/10. Hand flushing. Gu Ran felt a strange information rushing into his mind, and immediately understood the situation of this skill. He could pour coffee, milk tea, and other mixed drinks continuously for an hour without feeling sour in his hands. Gu Ran. I want the skill of continuously brewing coffee and milk tea for an hour to dry wool. I will not work in a coffee shop. And what's so great about whether your hands are sore or not? Is this Nima also considered a skill? Cheating. Gu Ran couldn't help complaining in his heart. Gu, this way. What are you doing standing there? In the corner of the cafe, a tall and outstandingly beautiful girl poked her head out and shouted at him. It was 16-year-old Sophie Turner. Although Sophie is only 16 years old, she is already 175 in height. She has blonde hair, blue eyes, standard facial features, long legs and thin waist. The only shortcoming in her whole body is probably the pair of A's on her chest. Because she was going on a date, Sophie Turner specially put on beautiful makeup. When she stood up, the fan A-line skirt she was wearing and her two long legs like ivory chopsticks stood out at the coffee table. Striking. At this moment, Sophie was hugging a pair of slender arms gracefully in front of A. Her slightly baby-fat pretty face clearly showed displeasure. Light. Feeling 17 points of negative emotions from Sophie Turner, system bubbles are being generated. That's okay. Gu Ran, who felt that he had done nothing, was stunned for a moment, and he realized in an instant, with a strange expression on his face, he went straight to Sophie Turner who was 5 meters away. The group of bubbles in front of him walked away. End of this chapter. Chapter 3 Whoring Sophie's Skills for Free. Sophie Turner sat back in her seat angrily with a cold face. On the desktop directly in front of her counterpart A, there was a gray bubble floating that only Gu Ran could see. The shape of this bubble is incomplete, smaller than the one dropped by the waitress. Gu Ran sat in front of Sophie, staring at the bubble with disgust but hunger. This is too small, right? Gu Ran couldn't help shaking his head regretfully. How can it be so small? Oh, I see. Just now, the system reminded that Sophie's current negative emotion value is only 17 points, so this bubble is much smaller than the bubble with 38 points of negative emotion in terms of shape. It seems that the size of the bubble is affected by the negative emotion value. I don't know what skills are hidden in the bubbles dropped by Sophie. Sophie, who is both good in character and learning, as a future star, no matter what she loses is the standard spoken English, acting skills, or other subjects, I feel very good. Gu Ran's heart fluttered, and he couldn't help stretching out his hand with fiery eyes. When his fingertips touched the bubble shattered and turned into a ray of light, which merged into Gu Ran's body. Light. The host picks up skills from the ruined bubbles, chest button +1, today's pickup progress is February 10th. Reminder, this skill can improve the host's proficiency in unlocking the chest buckle. No matter how complicated the chest buckle structure is, it can be easily untied. Unbutton. Gu Ran was taken aback. Could it be? IMO. What kind of skill is this? I'm a big man, what do I need to do with the skill of unbuttoning my chest? I don't wear it. Wait, I don't have too many skills, who knows when I will use them. Gu Ran's eyes froze, his arms froze, and then he retracted, and he casually picked up the menu on the table. Sophie, however, was taken aback by his actions and expression just now, her pretty face was ashamed, her hands covered her chest and her body involuntarily shrank back. He didn't notice the abnormality in Sophie's expression. At this moment, all Gu Ran's thoughts are on the study of bubbles. Because he just noticed a change in a number. Pick up progress February 10th today. Does it mean that I can only pick up 10 bubble skills at most every day? It seems that not all bubbles should be picked up. Like the 2 gray bubbles just now, it seems that the picked up are all useless garbage skills, right? Maybe some of the dark bubbles are because the dropper doesn't have any good skills or high-level skills. Or maybe the negative emotion value is not high enough. But the size of the bubbles, there is a high probability that the negative emotional value of the dropper is not high enough. The dark gray bubbles of the waitress should belong to the situation of not having good skills themselves. Sophie's dark gray bubble should belong to the situation of good skills but not enough negative emotion value. In terms of Sophie's ability, she must have a more advanced skill bubble hidden in her body. It's just, how to increase Sophie's negative emotions. Just when Gu Ran was holding the menu in his hand, but looking at Sophie with fiery eyes, the latter finally couldn't take it anymore, put his hands on his chest and stammered criticism. Gu, it's called. I told you to play the boyfriend, not to play the hooligan. Gu Ran finally came to his senses, but he couldn't explain anything, so he quickly changed the subject and said, Ahem, I don't understand what you're talking about, Sophie, let's order food. But Sophie refused to let him go, the one who took advantage of me just now explained clearly in advance. No. Absolutely not. Gu Ran had no choice but to raise his hands in surrender, it's all a misunderstanding, besides, how can I take advantage of you? Although we are a couple on the surface, in fact, I have always regarded you as a buddy, really. There is no bargain to take. Treat me like a buddy. Sophie's forehead darkened, and a storm began to condense on Sophie's pretty face. Girls in Europe and the United States develop early, and they start to pay attention to their bodies at the age of 15 or 16. Sophie has proud long legs and a standard southern British beauty, but the A on her chest makes her very unconfident. Now Gu Ran said that she has nothing to gain and be a buddy, so it's no wonder Sophie is not in a hurry. Light. Feeling 65 negative emotion points from Sophie Turner, system bubbles are being generated. 65 o'clock. Why so high? Gu Ran was shocked, not sure which sentence he had offended the female employer. Did you explain clearly just now? But in an instant, Gu Ran couldn't care less about thinking about this problem, because he saw a big sky blue shiny bubble appear on the table in front of Sophie again. The blue bubbles are full in shape, with extraordinary temperament. You can tell at a glance that they must be higher-level skill bubbles. Gu Ran immediately stretched out his hand hungrily. Sophie on the opposite side hadn't started to get angry, but she saw Gu Ran staring at her chest with fiery eyes again, and stretched her wolf claws towards her chest. Finally, she couldn't take it anymore, and slapped the table angrily. You said you are not a hooligan? You come again in less than a minute. Gu Ran. I will date you again in the future, and I, Sophie Turner, will just wash your dirty clothes for 3 months. After speaking, Sophie walked out without looking back. She walked very fast, afraid that Gu Ran would catch up and grab her and beg her for forgiveness. In fact, she originally had a good impression of this handsome and simple Asian boy, otherwise she would not deliberately ask him to act as her boyfriend and date her. But the first date turned out like this. Sophie secretly made up her mind that she was really blinded by lard. No matter how Gu Ran coaxed her this time, she would not forgive her. It's a pity that the culprit is sitting happily at the same place at this moment, indifferent to the girl's departure, because after the other party left, the beautiful bubbles she dropped are still there. Now you can pick it up without any scruples. Gu Ran hurriedly reached out to touch it. The blue bubbles exploded colorfully immediately, turning into a ray of light, and merged into his body. Light. The host picked it up from the filled bubbles. Stanislavski system acting skill, realism +1, today's pickup progress is March 10th. Reminder, your acting skills are vivid, especially when you play the silly and innocent, you show your true colors. Comfortable. Finally, I got a reliable skill for free prostitution, although this thing seems to be more suitable for women. Gu Ran felt very refreshed. His speculation about the bubbles is correct, which means that no matter who they are, as long as they have professional skills, Gu Ran can use the method of picking up bubbles to come here for nothing. The conditions for the generation of bubbles are nothing more than making the other party have negative emotions towards themselves. Base your own happiness on the unhappiness of others. Just thinking about it will double your happiness. As for Sophie, who ran out angrily, don't be in a hurry to coax her, wait for her to get angry for a while, and then look for a chance to make amends later. It's a big deal. It's not impossible to act honestly with her in the future, and even make drinks for her a few times. The most urgent thing now is to take the time to study the underlying logic of this system and how to apply the picked up skills. This rebirth, Gu Ran did not expect to have such a pleasant harvest. He can't wait to start planning his perfect life. On the other side, Sophie stormed out of the cafe angrily, standing on the steps outside the door with a face full of grievances in a daze. She thought that Gu Ran would chase after her to apologize, but the other party seemed to ignore her at all. What the hell happened to this guy today? As usual, it's like a different person. Yo, isn't this Sophie? What a coincidence. Just when she couldn't figure it out, a rough voice came from far and near. Sophie looked up in astonishment, only to see a muscular boy with back comb and bald head leading several other boys and walking towards her whistling. Rust strip. A trace of panic flashed across Sophie's face, and she subconsciously wanted to turn around and flee back to the cafe. The strong boy was a step ahead of her, and stopped her. Miss Sophie, what do you think about the invitation to be our team's cheerleader? The cup is about to start. If you can be my girlfriend, in the next year, it will definitely be the most dazzling one in the whole school. Sophie forced a smile. Rust Stripe, I'm sorry, I already have a boyfriend. Rusty Stripe frowned. Who? Sophie suddenly came up with inspiration, glanced at the guy in the cafe who was still immersed in happiness from the window, and pointed angrily. Him. An Asian? He deserves it too. The strong man nicknamed Rusty Stripes clenched his fists and rushed into the cafe with a group of people. Sophie suddenly saw that there were butterfly knives and iron wrenches hidden behind these guys. There is also a guy who seems to have a meteor hammer in the back of his ass. Sophie's pretty face changed instantly, and she hurriedly chased after her. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Real acting, show affection and show love to the audience. Rusty Stripe and his brothers rushed into the caustic cafe viciously. There was a moment of silence in the cafe, which was originally quite sentimental. The guests all looked sideways in horror, for fear that their gaze would cause unnecessary trouble. Only Gu Ran was still sitting with his back, completely unaware that the rival in love was approaching. Gu Ran is still studying his bubble system happily. Gu Ran has basically figured out the underlying logic of the system. The next step is to make full use of the negative emotion system, and it would be best to have more prostitutes for free, especially if you have more professional skills. However, in a small place like Southampton, it seems that there are not many talented stars. Southampton does have a well-known hometown team. Just when Gu Ran's consciousness was wandering, a big hand like a rake landed heavily on Gu Ran's shoulder. Gu Ran let out a hiss, and almost scolded, quintessence of China. Goo Ran frowned and turned around, and suddenly saw the ferocious rust stripes on his face. As soon as Rust Strip saw Goo Ran's handsome face, he immediately burst out angrily, "Who am I? I'm just a weak chicken. You alone deserve to be Sophie's boyfriend." For the person nicknamed Rusty Stripe in front of him, Goo Ran still had an impression in his memory 12 years ago. Rusty Stripe's real name is Chris Dick, and he is the main center back of the Buck Steel Horns team of the Southampton Private High School team. This guy is as strong as an iron tower, with a height of 1 meters and a weight of 88 kilograms. He has both muscles and fat. He is exactly a high school student version of Harry Maguire's small aircraft carrier. The point is, this guy loves to be hot-headed. In the inter-school league, he once did the feat of shoveling the referee and chasing the opposing forward to the locker room. The strong lads behind Rusty Stripe, like Rusty Stripe, are also one of the best bad boys in the Southampton school team. It can be said that the Southampton private school goes up and down, even the teachers and students, there is no one who is not afraid of them. Anyone who sees them wants to avoid them. In the previous life, Goo Ran didn't have much contact with people like Rust Strip. Because in the previous life, Goo Ran just finished this lunch with Sophie in a quiet and boring manner, and then left quietly and boringly, it didn't happen that Sophie happened to be seen by Rust Stripe and others after rushing out the door condition. But now, the fate after rebirth has changed. Rust Strip. What are you doing? Sophie ran in nervously, and pushed Rust Strip's hand on Goo Ran's shoulder. Seeing Sophie's nervous look, Rusty Stripe immediately became jealous. "Sophie, why are you so nervous about him? TSK, this weak Asian chicken needs to be protected by a girl like you." The brothers behind Rusty Stripe immediately booed, and all kinds of mocking whistles flew around. Goo Ran frowned slightly. He was preoccupied with finding useful skill bubbles. He didn't want to pay attention to people like Rusty Stripe, but since the other party was already making fun of him, he couldn't be used to it. Just as Goo Ran was about to speak, Sophie hurriedly took Goo Ran's arm. "Goo, ignore them, let's go." When Sophie held Goo Ran's arm, she secretly pinched Goo Ran's arm with her fingertips, signaling Goo Ran not to be impulsive. However, Goo Ran smiled at Sophie, and had no intention of leaving. "Want to go?" Rusty Stripe blocked the way with his body as strong as an iron tower, with a vicious smile on the corner of his mouth. "How can you let a weak Asian guy take the school bell of our Southampton private high school? Unless you personally say yes to it. Sophie makes a clean break, otherwise, you boy will never walk out of this cafe standing up today." With that said, Rusty Stripe squeezed his fist hard. His fist joints crackled, and the muscles under his sweatshirt bulged exaggeratedly. The bad boy brothers behind him also pulled out their fighting posture, crossed their legs, raised their chins, and looked at Goo Ran from under their nostrils. If it was 12 years ago, such a battle would definitely make Goo Ran, who is a nerd, at a loss, and his legs would tremble with nervousness. But now, Goo Ran has 12 more years of life experience, so he doesn't pay attention to such small scenes at all. Instead of panicking, Goo Ran felt a hint of secret joy in his heart. This is a great chance to get professional skill bubbles. "You're the Rusty Strip, right?" Goo Ran said, "I've heard that you are reckless, but seeing you today, you really deserve your reputation." Rusty Stripe sneered, "Although you are praising me, I won't let you go because of it." "What the fuck? You actually take reckless as a compliment?" Goo Ran's head was covered with black lines. It seems that if you want Rust Stripe to have negative emotions, you can't speak too politely, you need a little stimulation. "Rust Stripe, aren't you curious why Sophie fell in love with me?" As he spoke, Goo Ran turned his head and gave Sophie an affectionate look. Those eyes were full of tenderness and sweetness, without any trace of acting. Sophie trembled uncontrollably. This is the first time she has felt such a real love emotion. And Rusty Stripe's complexion became very ugly. Goo Ran gently held Sophie's tender hand in his arms, and continued to show affection. "The answer is actually very simple, I am handsome enough." As soon as this remark came out, many spectators in the cafe also nodded. Goo Ran is 1.8 meters tall, with sharp eyebrows and starry eyes. On his already handsome face, there is a calm and mature gentlemanly smile. Even the brothers behind Rust Strip couldn't help but secretly nodded, admitting Goo Ran's handsomeness. Rusty Stripe yelled unconvinced, "What the hell is handsome? Sophie! Look at my muscles. Rusty Stripe rolled up his sleeves, exposing his thigh-thick biceps, and his arm muscles rattled as if they were about to explode. Sophie was heartbroken by Gu Rant's behavior of holding hands and secretly pinching her. The teasing at a dangerous moment made her blush and heartbeat. This is the real man. Glancing at Rusty Stripe's muscles mixed with fat, Sophie couldn't help but roll her eyes. Then, Sophie scolded Gu Ran with a pretty face and shyness, "I hate it, I'm not superficial because you're handsome so I date you." Gu Ran gave Sophie a doting smile, "I know, I'm just going to introduce my other specialties to Rusty Stripe." This very mature and charming doting smile made Sophie Turner almost fall on the spot. Is this really that bookworm Gu Ran? How did she become so attractive all of a sudden? Could it be, is he really in love with me? Why didn't I see it before? No, I don't want to fall in love so early. Sophie covered her flat chest with one hand and tried to control her heartbeat, which had already stalled, while the other hand was still attached to Gu Rant's arm. There are obviously only a few ordinary dialogues between the two, but with the eyes, micro-expressions and movements of both parties, it is simply a live show of affection. All the customers in the cafe were stuffed with dog food. Gu Ran secretly breathed a sigh of relief. It turns out that this is the acting skill of Stanislavski's system, realism. Really useful. End of this chapter. Chapter 5 picked up a reverse magical skill. This Bon loves to show off and is driving Rusty Stripe crazy. Weak Asian chicken. Tell me, what are your specialties? I want to compete with you. I want Sophie to know that I am the strongest. Compared with Russ Strip's impatience, Gu Ran seemed very calm. Gu Ran smiled meaningfully, and reached out to pick up Sophie's beautiful chin. I'm going to say it. Sophie's whole body was like being electrocuted. She clearly wanted to resist, but her delicate body almost leaned against Gu Rant's body, and her tone was extremely gentle and considerate. I'm not afraid to tell you now. Gu Ran was supposed to say this to Russ Strip, but his gaze never left Sophie's big blue eyes. Actually, we've lived together a long time ago, and it's been almost a month. Sophie's parents know about it, they welcome me and treat me like family. Am I right, Sophie? Yeah. Sophie nodded without even thinking about it. This is also true. Of course, Gu Ran didn't say that he paid the money seriously. Swish. Everyone's eyes on the scene were all focused on the beauty of Southampton Private School. This is an explosive scandal. Sophie, the most obedient and cleanest schoolgirl in Southampton Private School, has long been. At this time, Sophie also realized that something was wrong. But the head has already been nodded, how can there be time to explain? But if you don't explain it, isn't that tantamount to admitting that she and Gu Ran are like that? Sophie blushed instantly, wishing she could dig out a cemetery with her toes and bury herself in it. Gu Ran struck while the iron was hot, and raised his brows at Russ Strip with an expression of, "You understand, now, do you understand?" Whoa! The little cafe is shaking. Sophie herself understood what Gu Ran meant, and anxiously and embarrassingly twisted Gu Ran's waist. "Tsk, this is sour." Gu Ran remained motionless, with a real smile on his face. The Rusty Stripe on the opposite side thought hard for a while. "What do you mean?" Rusty Stripe turned to his brother in confusion and asked, "What the hell is he?" "What the hell?" "Brother, do you have to make me say those words that are not up to broadcast standards?" Gu Ran complained wildly in his heart. Fortunately, at this time, the brother behind Russ Strip came up to Russ Strip and whispered something in Russ Strip's ear. "What? My goddess!" Rusty Stripe's eyes turned red, and he didn't know if he wanted to cry, or kill someone, or both. We don't have the acting skills of innate liberation yet. Light. Feeling 9 negative emotion points from Sophie Turner, system bubbles are being generated. Fuck, natural liberation doesn't just come right away, does it? However, with 9 points of negative emotion value, you should not be able to get professional skill bubbles. Having said that, Sophie, I am helping you, why are you still getting emotional, you still pinch me. Alas, I really don't understand what this little girl is thinking. Sooner or later I have to pinch it back. Gu Ran glanced away, and sure enough, he saw a gray and incomplete bubble formed under Sophie's feet. Before Gu Ran could pick it up, another system prompt sounded. Light. Feeling 85 points of negative emotion from Chris Dick, system bubbles are being generated. 85 o'clock. Hey. Rust stripes are really easy to get on. This should be the highest negative emotion value so far. Gu Ren felt relieved. He saw a big sky blue shiny bubble emerging from Rust Strip's feet. This is definitely a bubble with professional football skills. Light. Feeling 31 points of negative emotion from Willard Zachary, system bubbles are being generated. Light. Feeling 35 points of negative emotion from Milton Lujan, system bubbles are being generated. Light. Feeling 38 points of negative emotion from Buck Fried, system bubbles are being generated. Light. Feeling 44 points of negative emotion from Payne Lyle, system bubbles are being generated. Light. Feeling 55 points of negative emotion from Hanson Tunchester, system bubbles are being generated. Gu Ran looked around, and there were large and small bubbles appearing under the feet of Rust Strip and his bad boy brothers. Without exception, these bubbles were all within 5 meters of Gu Ran's body. The other spectators in the cafe were obviously also affected by Xiao Nai, but they didn't show any drop. This shows that 5 meters around the body is the range of action of the system. At least until the system's personal rating is improved, it can only drop bubbles within 5 meters of the body. After figuring out the logic of this system, Gu Ran felt secretly refreshed. Such a simple show of affection can actually prostitute so many skills for nothing. Don't know how many football professional skills will there be. No matter that much, let's pick it up first. Gu Ran calmly touched the incomplete air bubbles under Sophie's feet with his toes, and then walked directly towards Rust Stripe, knocking Rust Stripe and the air bubbles under his brother's feet away in one breath. The 7 bubbles turned into 7 different light filaments and gathered in Gu Ran's body. Lamp the host picked up the skill from the ruined bubble, put on and take off stockings +1, today's pickup progress is April 10th. Putting on and taking off stockings, it must have come from Sophie's skills. Putting on and taking off stockings still uses skills, isn't this just as long as you have your hands? Even if I don't use my hands, I can do it with my mouth. 9 points of negative emotion value, it really can only pick up useless skills. Wasted my progress once picked up. Gu Ran complained secretly in his heart. Light. Reminder, when you use the putting on and taking off stockings technique, you can make the process smoother and smoother, but because you are not skilled enough, you have a high chance of breaking the stockings. Gu Ran. If that's the case, this skill can't be considered useless, it's very punishing. Lamp the host picked up the results from the ordinary bubbles, core muscle group training plus 10 hours, today's pickup progress is May 10th. Results? This is the new pickup category. It's finally time. It seems that the ordinary bubbles dropped by professionals can be picked up to obtain their corresponding professional training results. Others have worked hard for 10 hours, but I only need to do it for nothing. This is simply not too cool. Gu Ran was ecstatic. Lamp the host picked up the results from the ordinary bubbles, the upper body and back muscle training degree plus 10 hours, today's pickup progress is 6/10. Lamp the host picked up the results from ordinary bubbles, the ball jumping training speed plus 10 hours, today's pickup progress is 7/10. Light the host picked up the results from the ordinary bubbles, long pass punching tactics course plus 10 hours, today's pickup progress is 8/10. Lamp the host picked up the skill from the ordinary bubble, exam cheating +1, today's pickup progress is 9/10. What the fuck? Well, why is there a strange skill mixed in? The training results of the previous few ordinary bubble prostitutes are very good, but what kind of skill is this cheating technique? Gu Ran couldn't help complaining in his heart. The system really gave an explanation. Reminder, when you are taking the written test, you can bring your own cheat sheet to cheat. There is a certain chance that your grade after cheating will exceed your normal grade, but your chances of being caught by the invigilator will also be greatly increased. It is not ruled out the nervousness, dizziness, vomiting and other uncomfortable symptoms caused by your cheating process. CO. I have to make my own cheat sheet. After cheating, there is only a certain chance to exceed the normal score, the chances of getting caught are greatly increased. Which Big Brother's reverse magical skill is this, Nima? I'm sorry. Gu Ran wanted to give up this reverse magical skill, but this cheating technique has already penetrated into his nervous system, and he can't forget it at all. Ugh. Forget it, anyway, with my own grades, I don't need to cheat. There is one last blue skill bubble left. This bubble is exactly the professional skill bubble generated by Rust Stripe's 85 negative emotion points. Rusty Strip, don't cheat on me. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. You, a Chinese, want to compare the ball with me? Gu Ran secretly took a deep breath, and quickly touched the full blue bubble under Rusty Strip's foot with the tip of his toe. The bubbles that only Gu Ran could see exploded brilliantly, turning into a blue thread of light and entering Gu Ran's body. Light. The host picked up professional football skills from the filled bubbles, reasonable collision +1, today's pickup progress is October 10th. Reminder, reasonable impact skills will greatly improve your impact and recoil force, but at the same time it will also consume a lot of your physical energy and increase your chances of injury. After improving the reasonable impact skill level, your impact force and recoil force, there will be an increase in energy consumption and a reduction in the chance of injury. Handsome. Finally, a soccer pro skill. Moreover, this skill is very practical. In British football culture, physical collision is very basic and common situation. This type of skill is not only one of the necessary skills for defenders to defend, but also one of the necessary skills for forwards to grab points. The moment the skills merged into the nerves, Gu Ran felt that the muscles in his whole body were full of strength that he had never had before. Gu Ran seemed to be a different person, the bookish air on his body instantly faded a lot, and he became more upright and tougher. He is handsome enough in itself, and with the results of 10 hours of multi-sport training for nothing, he looks even more handsome. Gu Ran patted the shoulder of Rust Stripe, who was still in a daze. Thank you. Rusty Stripe became furious, and rushed towards Gu Ran like a mad bear. Fake. You weak Asian chicken, how dare you stand in front of me and provoke me? I'm going to kill you. Rust Stripe. I don't allow you to hurt Gu Ran. Sophie eagerly wanted to stand in front of Gu Ran. Rusty Stripe was even more annoyed, and took out a brass knuckle from his trouser pocket and put it on his hand. Sophie, get out of the way. Get out of the way. The atmosphere in the entire cafe suddenly became tense. Gu Ran was unflappable in the face of danger, keeping Sophie behind with one hand, and pressing the hot coffee pot on the dining table with the other hand. Want to fight? Okay. We Chinese are never afraid of things. If you want to risk your life, I will accompany you to the end. However, if you lose in a fight, you will be sent to the hospital. If you win, you will be sent to the game. Can you bear the price? Rusty Stripe waved the brass knuckle tiger on his fist and roared, no matter what you say today, I will beat you to the ground. If the brothers behind him hadn't reacted and grabbed Rusty Stripe in time, this guy would have rushed forward regardless of the consequences. Gu Ran reminded in a deep voice, next week is the National Student Football Tournament of the Genius Cup, right? I think you guys know the importance of this cup better than I do. What do you think the school will do with you? The ferocity on Rusty Stripe's face faded instantly. What Gu Ran said is correct, this time is the most critical period for the Bucks and Steel Horns team to prepare for the All-England High School Talent Cup football match. Starting next Wednesday, the Bucks Steel Horns will face 3 strong opponents in the Southern Division, and each round of the game is very important. If they can qualify in the group stage of the Southern Division, they can break the historical record and enter the top 16 of the country. And if a miracle can be achieved to enter the national semi-finals, every player in the team can be directly recommended to the sports department of the University of Southampton, and may be selected by a professional club. Rusty Stripe is the main center-back of the school team, and he has been repeatedly told by the coach not to cause trouble during this period of time. If he really got into the hospital or the bureau because of fighting with Gu Ran, then Rust Stripe would be doomed for the rest of his life. Sophie watched Rusty Stripe turn from ferocious to sluggish, and suddenly took a breath in disbelief. Gu Ran, that's amazing. In just a few words, he took control of the audience and made a guy like Rusty Stripe admit it. And, why do you feel that Gu Ran is handsome again? I should not be. Sophie felt her heart beating uncontrollably. Anne. Gu Ran continued to speak calmly, if I go to the hospital, my dear Sophie will take care of me personally. She opens her mouth when the meal comes, stretches out her hand when the clothes come, and even helps me to go to the toilet. So I fight, it doesn't matter at all, but what about you? Sophie blushed, and secretly reached out and pinched Gu Ran's waist. What does it mean to help you when you go to the toilet? What am I supporting? I will not help it. The more Sophie thought about it, the more ashamed she became, her face turned red to the ankles. Rusty Stripe is incompetent and furious, Asian boy, you, me, damn it. He really wanted to send Gu Ran to the hospital. However, thinking that Gu Ran will be able to enjoy Sophie's care after entering the hospital, Rust Strips can't wait to kill himself first. Seeing that the matter was about to come to an end, Gu Ran said calmly, Rust Strip, since you have come to grab my girlfriend from me, as a man, I should respond to you. Let me tell you, Sophie, yes mine. With that said, Gu Ran aggressively embraced Sophie's slender waist in front of everyone. Sophie was completely dumbfounded. She instinctively wanted to struggle, but for some reason, her body was getting closer and closer. Gu Ran continued, Rust Stripe, I know you are definitely not convinced, how about this, let's compete. Sophie is the school beauty of Southampton Private Middle School, between the two of us, only the winner can be worthy she. Rust's light suddenly brightened, Asian boy, what do you want to compare? Gu Ran said, you are definitely not good at studying, so choose one you are good at. Aren't you the main force of the school team? As for me, I am just an ordinary person from China, a poor football country, and I have never practiced before. Sophie can testify, can't I, dear? Sophie, who was still immersed in Gu Ran's domineering embrace, was suddenly called dear, and she nodded obediently. She had indeed never seen Gu Ran play football, she had only seen Gu Ran doing quizzes. Gu Ran gave Sophie a doting smile, and then turned back to Rust Stripe and said, but I'm willing to give you this chance, using your best football, to have a game of war between men. Rusty Stripe was immediately overjoyed, did I hear you right? You actually want to compete with me in football? Believe it or not, you'll have to go to the hospital for a collision with me, ha ha ha. Smiling and laughing, Rusty Stripe suddenly thought of Sophie's helper again, and suddenly his laughter froze. Sophie stomped her feet anxiously, Gu Ran. What are you kidding? However, Gu Ran continued to say to Rust Strip, you are so strong, one-on-one confrontation is definitely unfair, why don't we make a compromise, let's compare jump the ball. Rusty Stripe nodded quickly, and said with ecstasy, okay. This is good. It's better than juggling. Ha ha ha. You're doomed. Everyone heard it. In a juggling game, the winner deserves to pursue Sophie. The loser people have to withdraw voluntarily. This kid said it himself. Sophie's almond eyes widened, what? I don't agree. Gu Ran. Ha ha ha. Rusty Stripe roared excitedly, let's go. Let's go out to juggle the ball now. Hey, bitch, find me a ball. Okay. The strong man nicknamed Ms. Cannon giggled, twisted his waist and ran out of the cafe. The strong man became enchanting, what a hot eye. Gu Ran quickly shifted his gaze to Sophie, don't worry, it's just a trick. It's not like I haven't seen it before, it's quite easy. As soon as this remark came out, there was a burst of snickering at the scene. Especially Rusty Stripe, as if he had picked up the biggest bargain in the world, with the harshest smile. Chinese boy. You really are kind. I'll wait for you outside. Don't be cowardly. Rusty Stripe swaggered out of the cafe with his men. Sophie was about to cry. Sophie grabbed Gu Ran's arm, lowered her voice and begged, Gu Ran. Gu Ran, please stop making trouble, please, I beg you. Cancel the game of juggling the ball quickly. At worst, I promise you, I will stop playing when I get home. I'll wash your dirty clothes. What the fuck? This proud little girl still has time to beg for mercy. Gu Ran felt refreshed, and said, you have to wash the dirty clothes, but I'm also serious about competing with Rust Stripes. You. Sophie stomped her feet angrily, are you trying to renege on our agreement on purpose? No. Gu Ran looked innocent, I don't want him to harass you again in the future. Sophie was startled, and then said angrily, then you can't compete with the ball. He's from the school team. How can you beat him, a nerd? Gu Ran, what if I win? Sophie blurted out, if you can win, I will do whatever you want me to do. A mature smile appeared on the corner of Gu Ran's mouth, it's a deal. Sophie was taken aback, she suddenly had a feeling in her heart. Can't you? After a few minutes. End of this chapter. Chapter 7 didn't play well. I'll do it again. A few minutes later, outside Costa Cafe. Gu Ran and Russ Strip stood facing each other, and passers-by surrounded the two of them, 3 layers inside and 3 layers outside. It is the nature of all human beings to watch the excitement. Especially the excitement of the rival-in-love duel. This Chinese kid dared to challenge the main force of the school team. What is he thinking? When I was in the cafe before, this Chinese boy was very calm. Why did he suddenly drift away? I thought he was pretty smart, but he offered to compete with Rusty Stripe himself. Isn't this giving Rusty Stripe a good situation? He is so stupid. Ha ha ha. In my opinion, he may not be really stupid, but shrewd. He must have gotten tired of playing with Sophie and wanted to find an excuse to get rid of Sophie. If you say that, it's really possible. Mommy fake. Damn Chinese, pull up your pants and go. Rust Stripe, get him. Get him. Is there anyone who opened the market? I bet this Chinese kid 3 times and he can't even hit 30 balls. I follow. I also follow. Even before the ball-jumping duel officially started, the passers-by were already filled with negative emotions. Gu Ran sighed secretly and shook his head. Today's pickup limit is already full, otherwise, he would have picked up a street full of skills and achievements. Waste. After this matter is over, after returning home, we must free up our hands to study how to improve the system rating. Seeing that Gu Ran shook his head slightly, Rust Stripe immediately became arrogant and proud. Hey, Chinese boy, are you scared? If you admit defeat and give up Sophie now, at least you won't be ashamed. If you really compare it, you will be ashamed. Gu Ran smiled. Let's start, you come first. Humph. Count it for me. Rusty Stripe took the football and started juggling it. The bad boys next to them counted Rusty Stripe loudly. 1 2 3 4. Rusty's ball feel was a so-so, his body was strong but not flexible, and the first time he bounced the ball, he only bounced 19 times. The onlookers were somewhat disdainful of such a result. After all, this is England, the birthplace of modern football. Even by the standards of a non-professional school team, such a juggling is unqualified. Rusty Stripe wiped the sweat from his brow. It was a warm-up just now, but this time I'm going to do it for real. 1 2 3 4. Rust Stripe started the second round of juggling amidst the shouts of the brothers. For the second time, Rust Stripe really broke through the previous record. The number of balls was 50. The atmosphere of the onlookers was still a little awkward. The number of 50 ball jumps is not too high, and the movements are not chic and beautiful at all, but this competition is just a comparison of numbers after all. Rusty Stripe wiped the sweat off his nose. The first 2 times were warm-ups, and the third time is my true strength. 1 2 3 4. Rust Stripe started the third round of juggling amidst the shouts of the brothers. This last time, the number of Rust Stripes was only 37. Rusty Stripe wiped the sweat off his chin, and said without changing expression, actually, it's meaningless to overturn too much, the highest number of 50 is enough. Chinese boy, it's your turn. With that said, Rust Strip threw the football to Gu Ran. Gu Ran took the football, and his heart suddenly filled with infinite emotion. In his last life, he loved football since he was a child, but he didn't have time to play football at all, let alone formal training. He could only use his spare time to make appointments with his friends to watch football and play football after returning to China to work. Ball. Although he started very late, his friends said that he is very talented, but it is a pity that it is impossible to play professionally from scratch at the age of 30. Now, Gu Ran has been reborn. A new career is in front of him. How could this keep him from trembling slightly with excitement? Gu Ran took a deep breath, tried to calm down his excitement, and began to juggle the ball. From the very beginning, Gu Ran felt something was wrong. The memory of his ball feeling from his previous life is still there, but his body in this life is a bit stiff. The muscles and nerve memory of his previous life have not fully matched his body in this life. Barely bumped 8 balls and the ball was lost. Sophie on the side looked desperate. Rusty Stripe heaved a sigh of relief, laughed loudly and said, only 8. Boy, just throw in the towel. I bet you won't be able to flip 50 balls in your life. Gu Ran was not affected by Rust Stripe's trash talk at all, but took a deep breath and calmed down. The muscle memory has been fully awakened, and the results of the 10 hours of ball jumping training just picked up are also activated immediately. Gu Ran moved his limbs and threw the football into the air. This throw is at least 4 or 5 meters high. All the onlookers at the scene exclaimed. Sophie's heart also rose to her throat in an instant. How can there be such a jerk? Isn't this looking for a loser? Rusty Stripe and his brothers were laughing even more. For those who have never been in contact with football, it is impossible to judge the landing point and timing of this kind of high throw. Even if you can judge accurately, it is impossible to grasp the posture and strength of the kick. Unless it's Ronaldinho or Messi. Snapped. Before Rusty Stripe's sarcasm came out, the football landed on Gu Ran's raised feet with precision. The heavy falling ball was easily relieved of most of its gravity, and only bounced on Gu Ran's casual shoes less than 10 centimeters high. This kick to stop the ball is amazing. Rusty Stripe was dumbfounded. The brothers behind him were also dumbfounded. All the onlookers gasped in unison. Meng, right? Are the Chinese people fooled? Or is it Chinese Kung Fu? Just when everyone was shocked, Gu Ran quickly alternated his feet skillfully and bounced the ball continuously. Every time when the ball fell to a lower position, Gu Ran only kicked the ball. Moreover, at the end of each bounce, try to apply a small, just right forward rubbing force to the ball, so that the ball has a certain sense of gyration, and enhance the stagnation and stability of the ball. Every time he touches the ball, Gu Ran tries to touch the ball with the instep of his instep close to his toes, and the toes are always upturned, which will form a cradle in the ball touching area. Can make timely adjustments and remedies. It was as if the football was tied to Gu Ran's feet by an invisible elastic rope, bouncing steadily. Sophie's big watery eyes widened, full of surprises that couldn't be concealed. Isn't Gu Ran too cool? The first time I looked like a novice, but the second time I looked like a football genius. Could it be that he is really a football genius? Wait, shouldn't I be happy for him? Thinking of what she just promised Gu Ran, Sophie blushed. In less than half a minute, Gu Ran's number of juggling balls exceeded 30. Rust Strip and the others all opened their mouths wide, their eyeballs flying up and down following Gu Ran's jerk. In less than a minute, Gu Ran's number of juggles exceeded 1. In less than 2 minutes, Gu Ran's number of jumps exceeded 100, and still going on. Rusty Stripe was stunned. How is this possible? How is this possible? Gu Ran acted as if he hadn't heard it, and was still intoxicated by the juggling. This feeling of dopamine secretion is really refreshing all over the body. When the number of juggling balls exceeded 100, Gu Ran changed his posture, using the inside and outside of his feet to juggle the ball. When the number of jumps exceeded, Gu Ran switched to front wrapping, back wrapping, thighs, head, shoulders, and shuttlecock kicking. Yes, Gu Ran is a person who likes many poses. The audience around who were not optimistic about Gu Ran could not help applauding Gu Ran's wonderful performance at this moment. When Gu Ran's number of bounces reached 361, the football hit the outside of Gu Ran's casual shoes and bounced off. Except Rust Strip and the others, the surrounding audience all cheered for Gu Ran. This one is really handsome. Gu Ran frowned slightly. I didn't play well. I'll do it again. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. It's time to do something big. Damn it. He even pretended to be there. Rust Stripe was ashamed and angry. No way, who told Gu Ran to flip the ball 361 times for the first time, but Rusty Stripe only flipped 50 at most. It was Rust Stripe, who helped Gu Ran onto the forced seat with his own hands. As for Gu Ran, he wasn't trying to pretend, he was very serious about doing it again. The dopamine secretion when playing football is really addictive. Moreover, Gu Ran still wanted to try to break through the limit. This dribbling is far from reaching the highest level of dribbling in his previous life. In his previous life, his highest record of juggling the ball was 874. Today's result is nearly half of the best result in his previous life. If you analyze the reasons, firstly, you are not wearing the right sneakers, and secondly, you have not stretched well before jumping the ball. But the most important reason is that the body after rebirth still has poor coordination and flexibility, and its physical fitness is not up to standard. Being able to flip more than 300 balls in one breath is actually considered super level. However, if you don't play tricks, it shouldn't be a problem to bounce the ball with the back of your feet calmly in 500 or 600 times. Although the physical condition in this life is a bit poor, but, you are young. To be young is to be energetic all over. I'll do it again, I'll do it again. Gu Ran ran to pick up the ball. No need. That's enough. Rusty Stripe blushed and said depressedly, China boy, I admit, you won. Gu Ran couldn't stop thinking, why did you admit defeat so quickly? Or, the one just now doesn't count, and you ask me to do it again. Sophie's almond eyes widened, she rushed over and gave Gu Ran a hard pinch, enough is enough. Rusty Stripe covered his face and growled, it's too insulting. You insulted me once is not enough, do you want to insult me a second time? Gu Ran hurriedly said, that's not what I mean, I just think, playing football is quite simple. Asking to do it again just now is really not pretending, this sentence is. Sure enough, as soon as these words came out, Rust Stripe glared at Gu Ran angrily, Chinese boy. Don't go too far. Playing football is easy. Humph, don't you just know how to juggle the ball? Bouncing the ball is not everything in football. I admit it, I'm not as good as you in juggling the ball, I lost the game with you. I'm not qualified to compete with you for Sophie. Rusty strips my word, and I will never pester her again in the future. But I have to tell you today. Rusty Stripe, don't be convinced. Chinese boy, you don't know what real football is. If you have the guts, you can compete with me on a real football field. This contest has nothing to do with Sophie, but a purely man-to-man match. Contest. I will let you know what is real football. Real football bouts. Gu Ran frowned slightly. This is a good way. If they can win their main central defender in front of the whole football club, then there is a high probability that they can join the school team. And as long as you join the school team, you will have the opportunity to participate in the All England High School Cup, and you can also play against national football experts. In the process of fighting, there will be many opportunities to directly pick up professional football skills. Thinking of this, Gu Ran immediately smiled calmly, you're right, Rust. Bumping is not the whole of football. I really want to know what real football is, so, I accept your challenge. Today is Saturday. Next Monday, I will go back to the school football field to have a real football match with you. Rusty Stripe gave a thumbs up, yeah. Me and my brothers from the football club will be waiting for you at the football field. See you on Monday. After speaking, Rusty Stripe walked up to Sophie with a sullen face. Sophie leaned her body towards Gu Ran subconsciously. Rusty Stripe sighed, Sophie, I used to love you so much, but it's a pity that we have no relationship. Well, can you give me the phone number of your best friend Susanna? It's the one with the big breasts. The corner of Sophie's mouth twitched slightly, get lost. Okay. Rusty Stripe led his brothers away in a desperate manner. The crowd of onlookers also dispersed amidst laughter. After a while, Gu Ran and Sophie were the only ones left at the door of the coffee shop. Let's go. Gu Ran was so focused on going home to study the system rating that he didn't even look back at Sophie. After all, there is no audience anymore, so there is no need for realistic acting skills. Sophie blushed slightly, pretending to be calm and asked, where are you going? Gu Ran said, of course I'm going home. Sophie's heart was pounding wildly. Did he really want to do that to me? Why did I set up the flag at his mercy at that time? Sophie stood there with a face full of confusion and embarrassment, lowered her head and whispered, but, my parents are at home. Gu Ran walked out more than 10 meters away with his head sullen, not even noticing that Sophie didn't follow, let alone hearing what Sophie whispered. Gu Ran. Sophie stomped angrily. Gu Ran turned around and asked with a confused face, what's wrong? Sophie said bitterly, you go to die. As she said that, Sophie strode forward with her long legs angrily, and walked in front of Gu Ran. Gu Ran was stunned. What's the matter? This is it. Why did this little girl suddenly lose her temper again? I didn't do anything either, I mean go home. Things are settled, shouldn't we go home? Looking at the way the little girl walks, the negative emotion value is probably going to reach 90 points. Well, it's a pity that I can't pick it up today. Not until after 12 midnight. Waste. It seems that in the future, I will not be able to pick up all kinds of bubbles like a Zyalaba person who has just entered the city. Fortunately, after picking up the upper limit, the negative emotion value will no longer show the falling bubbles, otherwise, it would be painful. I don't know if I can discuss it with the little girl Sophie. If I feel angry, I will hold it back and post it after 12 midnight. Yes, if I don't talk to her now, she should probably hold back. So, Guran followed Sophie without saying a word. Sophie is getting more and more angry in the front. Just now in the cafe, she was holding hands, gazing affectionately, stroking her chin, and hugging her waist domineeringly. Why didn't she say a word now? Dead Guran, stinky Guran. Playing hard to get with me, right? If I, Sophie, talk to you again, I'll take your last name, snort. The two of them walked in the direction of home like this. Sophie's family lives in Lingang district, only 15 minutes away from Caustic Cafe. Sophie's family is considered a local middle-class family. The house is not too big, but the lawn in the courtyard is neatly trimmed and clean. As soon as Sophie entered, she went straight to her boudoir on the 3rd floor. Came back. Sophie's father, who was sitting in the living room, just looked up at Sophie, and then looked down at the Southern Football News in his hand again. Uncle Andrew, good afternoon. Guran walked into the familiar residence in his memory, suppressed the excitement in his heart, and greeted Sophie's father with a smile. In the past, he was also so polite. Therefore, in Andrew Turner's eyes, today's Guran is no different from the past. Andrew is nearly 40 years old, but the top of his head is already bald, and his hairstyle is similar to that of Xie Guangquan. He was wearing the number 10 Southampton jersey, and his fat figure forced the jersey to look like a tights. Aha, our Chinese master is back. What do you want to eat tonight? I'll ask your Aunt Sally to make it for you. Sally Turner is Sophie's mother. Guran hurriedly said, Thank you Uncle Andrew, I actually don't have anything special to eat. Andrew immediately turned his head to the kitchen and shouted, Sally. Gu wants to eat lamb kidney pie. It's only half rare. Let's bake some oysters. Make a big mustard and onion with mashed potatoes, and finally a pot of haggis pudding. Sophie's mother shouted from the kitchen, Got it. I'll prepare it right away. Gu ran. Andrew blinked at Gu ran. Gu, are you 17 years old? Have a drink together tonight. There will be a derby between Southampton and Northampton later, do you want to watch it together? Before Gu ran could speak, Andrew lowered his voice again, and said mysteriously, I bought the Southampton winner with £1,000 of my own money. Gu ran frowned slightly. The memory of this city derby in the previous life was immediately activated. During this period, Southampton was only a League One team, while Northampton was a League Two team. Although they are both teams in the city of Ampton, Southampton is obviously stronger, and after this season, Southampton will be promoted to the second tier of the British League with number 2 results in the League One Championship. Northampton, on the other hand, has always been at the bottom of the 4th tier League Two, and there are almost no decent professional players. This game is a British domestic cup game, so these two teams belonging to different league levels met together. From a technical point of view, Southampton can completely crush Northampton. But, according to the memory of the previous life, Southampton will be unexpectedly upset in tonight's game, losing to their rivals in the same city, Northampton. This is the information difference advantage of rebirth. Gu ran doesn't have much memory of the unpopular games in the low-level leagues in his previous life, and this is one of them. And so, it's time to make a big deal. End of this chapter. Chapter 9 Anti-Buy, Southampton vs Northampton. Uncle Andrew, I also want to buy a football lottery ticket. Gu ran deliberately pretended not to understand anything, can you teach me? It's not completely pretending, in fact, Gu ran is really not very familiar with the gaming software of this era. After all, in his previous life, he had been busy brushing up questions. Andrew put down the newspaper in his hand, and smiled like a spinach master, buy football lottery tickets, which are called spinach in our jargon. This is something you have learned. To tell you the truth, I have been dabbling since I was a teenager. This industry is gone. Others work part-time to earn pocket money, buy food, drink, and even pick up girls, but the money I earn from part-time work is all spinach. Shit. Uncle, you have been buying football for more than 30 years, how come you only have £1,000 of private money now? Guran secretly smiled. Just listen to Andrew continue. Spinach, the key is to understand the ball, you have to study the historical records, technical statistics of these two teams, the stars of the teams, whether the team's tactics are incompatible, and you also need to know how the two teams compete. Whether the team's main players are injured or not, in short, there are many factors that need to be considered. This is very professional. You have never been in contact with it. I suggest that if you really want to buy it, you might as well follow an old player like me to buy it. Andrew proudly said, the trick to my betting is to seek stability. For example, in this match between Southampton and Northampton, I was studying the starting lists and status data of these two teams 2 weeks in advance. So you are lucky, follow me to buy the home team to win, absolutely no problem. If I win the £1,000, I can earn at least £181. The odds are astonishing. But think about it, everyone is optimistic about Southampton's victory over Northampton, so Southampton's odds are naturally very low. If you want to make a big ticket, you have to buy it the other way around. What's more, Guran already knew the result of the match between the two teams. Come on, let me help you download a regular gambling software first, and then help you bind your bank account. Andrew took Guran's iPhone 4 and operated it for a while. Now, you can see all kinds of odds on your own phone. Thank you, Uncle Andrew. Guran took a look at the phone. Uncle Andrew, I don't know much about football, but judging from the odds, it seems that buying Northampton will make more money, right? Ha ha ha. Andrew laughed loudly. Buy Northampton to win. Gu, from your words, it shows that you really don't understand anything. What kind of team is Northampton? Do you want a striker? Forward, if you want a midfielder without a midfielder, you want a defender without a defender. The goalkeeper is a super buttery player who can throw the ball into his own goal. How can Northampton beat our Southampton? Ugh. When Andrew talked about the excitement, a few precious hairs on his head also trembled. He is a die-hard Southampton fan. Just for this, there is nothing wrong with supporting your home team with £1,000 to win. Guran smiled. Uncle, I think spinach is also very important. Andrew sneered, feeling. Your uncle and I rely on knowledge, experience, technology, and a strategy for stability. You never rely on feeling. Tell me, how do you feel about this game? Guran said, my feeling is that Northampton won and the final score was 0-3. This is also the unpopular result of this match in Guran's previous life memory, if I remember correctly. Andrew stroked his Siagwankuan hairstyle. Oh, Gu, you really don't understand football. Guran smiled calmly. Yes, I just rely on my feeling. I feel good today, Uncle, why don't you buy it with me? Uncle, let me fly with you. Andrew laughed loudly. I'll buy it from you. Don't be ridiculous, this is all my private money. Can I accompany you for nothing? If you want to buy it, you buy it yourself. Guran said regretfully, Uncle, do you really not think about it? Andrew sneered and said, I'm not a fool. Bring your mobile phone, I'll teach you how to buy it, and you can operate it by yourself in the future. With that said, Andrew took Guran's cell phone and skillfully opened the betting window. Guran lowered his head to study the odds on the software. The odds of a score of 0-3 are 86 times. This is true, after all, no one is optimistic that Northampton can win, and no one is willing to buy such an exaggerated upset result that Northampton beat Southampton by 3 goals. Young model bless. Guran took a deep breath, filled in £1,000 in the bet amount, and clicked confirm. This is his rent and board for next month. If you can win £1,000, you can get a prize of £8. Andrew next to him was stunned. Boy, are you crazy? You actually bet £1,000 on 0:3? If I had known this, I should have collected your rent in advance. Guran smiled and said, Uncle, I really feel it. Andrew shrugged, well, you can do whatever you want. If you lose once, you will know the consequences of not listening to professionals. Anyway, next month's rent, whether you should pay it or not, you can't pay a cent less. Gu Ran smiled and said, "Don't worry, Uncle Andrew, I trust my feelings." Andrew sneered and said, "Gu, if you can win with this buying method, I'll call you Big Brother." Gu Ran secretly laughed in his heart. It is true that like father, like daughter. Why are you father and daughter so fond of flag? If I win by accident, wouldn't Sophie call me uncle? Then how can we happily play boyfriend and girlfriend in the future? Andrew smiled gloatingly, turned on the TV, and switched to the local sports channel. The football match between Southampton and Northampton begins. The overall strength of the Southampton team is more than one level stronger than that of Northampton. The Southampton team played completely against Northampton, and Northampton could hardly find North after being kicked. In the opening 5 minutes, Southampton's leading striker David Connolly received a cross from his teammate, made a beautiful arch push and scored easily. Andrew excitedly raised his arms and shouted, "Aha! Long live the Saints! It's 1 o'clock. Gu, what am I talking about? It's only 5 minutes into the game, and your £1,000 is gone. Your final score is Southampton 0-3. Northampton is wrong. Even if Northampton can reverse later, you have already lost. Your feeling is also wrong. You still have to learn from your uncle and me. Playing spinach requires stability. You can't rely on feeling." There was an imperceptible smile on the corner of Gu Ran's mouth. "Oh, it seems to be true." But in fact, Gu Ran was overjoyed. This match was indeed exactly the same as he remembered from his previous life. Both were scored by Connolly in the 5 minutes of the first half. According to memory, the score in the first half was 1 o'clock, but the real turning point will be the second half. An upset turning point that was enough to change the established score in the first half, and even enough to make all the fans drop their jaws. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. An upset turning point, here we come. On TV, the game between Southampton and Northampton continued. In the same city derby, the two teams fought fiercely, and the actions of both sides were also very special. Although the strength of the Northampton team is obviously not as good as that of the Southampton team, but the Northampton team is not timid at all, and all kinds of behind-the-back shovels, dragging and flying kicks greet the Southampton team one after another. Naturally, the Southampton team was not affected by this bird spirit, and retaliated against the Northampton team with various rough actions. The two sides are full of gunpowder, and the rhythm of the game is often interrupted by fouls from both sides. At the end of the first half, both sides received 5 yellow cards each, and the score was still Southampton 1 o'clock Northampton. Puff. Andrew happily opened the 4th can of beer, and gloated, "Gu, I'm sorry, your money has been wasted, and mine, in 45 minutes, will earn £185. I just told you that you don't understand anything, so why don't you follow a 30-year veteran like me to buy it? Oh, you young man, you are just disobedient. Now it's all right, 1 month's rent is gone, right?" Gu Ran just smiled. So far, the match has been exactly as he remembered it. Therefore, Gu Ran was not panicked at all, and was even a little excited. After a 15-minute intermission, the second half began. In the 54th minute of the game, Southampton launched a long pass from the right. Southampton striker Connolly used his body to knock away the defenders and grab the first point on the edge of the penalty area. Andrew shouted excitedly while clutching the beer can, "Connolly, shoot! Shoot!" I saw that another Northampton defensive player came over with a fierce side tackle and kicked Connolly's supporting ankle. Connolly immediately clutched his feet and fell to the ground in pain. The Southampton players immediately surrounded them aggressively. One of the Southampton players kicked in the chest and kicked the Northampton player who was side-shoveling Connolly. This time, the entire stadium seemed to be fried. Not only the players on the field fought together, but the players on the bench also joined the battle one after another. The head coaches of both sides are throwing mineral water bottles at each other. Even the fans of both sides started fighting, throwing wine bottles and burning fireworks into the field non-stop. The whole football field seemed to be on fire. This is the style of the British lower leagues. Play football? No, in low-level leagues, especially when the broadcast technology has not yet been formed, fighting is the basic practice. Ha ha ha. It's on. That's right. That's it. Saint. Go ahead. Fuck those Northampton pussies. Andrew took a sip of beer, waved his arms excitedly, and sang Southampton's team song, "Oh When the Saints Go Marching In." Gu Ran couldn't help but chuckled. Beep, beep. The referee on the field tried to control the chaotic scene, so he kept drawing cards to the Southampton players who were chasing the Northampton players. Players from both sides were sent off one after another. The Southampton team, which had an absolute advantage in the fight, naturally had the most players sent off. The smile on Andrew's face immediately froze. Wait, what are you doing? Referee. Stop drawing cards. If you draw any more cards, Southampton won't have enough players on the pitch. Gu Ran pretended not to understand anything, and asked curiously, Uncle Andrew, what will happen if there are less than 7 people on one side? Andrew explained, Gu, of course you don't understand, this is very professional football knowledge according to the rules of football, as long as one side of the game is sent off 5 people, the game will end directly. That is to say, if the Southampton team is sent off 5 people first, then the Southampton team will be directly judged to lose the game 3 o'clock when the goal difference in the previous game does not exceed 3. And such a result, the Spinach Company it is also admitted. Gu Ran pretended to be surprised and asked, what about the goals Southampton scored in the first half? Doesn't it count? Andrew covered his bald head and said angrily, forget it. Gu Ran blinked, oh, does that mean I might collect rice? No way. Uncle Andrew, didn't you say that my way of buying is definitely in vain? Didn't you say but, we Chinese, are we all stupid and have a lot of money? How can I collect rice, Uncle Andrew? Andrew froze all over. Theoretically speaking, Gu Ran, a novice's buying method, is absolutely impossible to win. However, who would have thought that such a thing would suddenly happen in the second half of the game? Andrew felt that his 30-year spinach skills were instantly overwhelmed by Gu Ran, a novice. Looking at the bitter expression on Andrew's face, Gu Ran felt a little regretful in his heart. It's a pity that today's pickup limit is already full, otherwise, he would definitely be able to pick up Andrew's skills. In other words, as an employee in the logistics industry, Andrew's skill should be driving, right? Just when Gu Ran was guessing wildly, on the field, the referee sent off the 5th Southampton player. The game is over now. The final result was Southampton 0-3 Northampton. Gu Ran's 86 times the odds, he won. £1,000 becomes 8. So comfortable. Although 8 is not a lot of money, it is enough for Gu Ran to live a prosperous life. Moreover, Gu Ran's betting amount is not large, and it will not attract the attention of the gaming company. If you encounter such an impressive unpopular game in the future, you can still have fun. Gu Ran shrugged, spinach, it's so simple. Uncle, let me just say, I feel really good today. I asked you to buy it from me, but you didn't follow me. That's it, your private money, have you lost your mind? Andrew, who has 30 years of gaming experience, twitched the corner of his mouth, and finally managed to utter a word, brother, take me. What the hell? You really shouted. Gu Ran hurriedly said, don't. Uncle, please don't call me that, I don't know anything, we Chinese are all stupid and have a lot of money. Uncle is wrong. Gu, your sense is so accurate. You can guess the score. The Chinese people simply have the mysterious power of the East. Gu, take me with you. After finishing speaking, Andrew kept shaking his head and struggling, Jesus. Why didn't I follow you to buy it? If I followed you to buy it, my £1,000 would have turned into 8. Alas! Alas! Andrew's precious strands of hair trembled with his sigh. Gu Ran secretly smiled, and before leaving, he glanced at the football newspaper on the table. Uncle, have you finished reading that newspaper? Let me read it. Andrew waved his hand. Gu, don't be polite to me in the future, just take whatever you like. Now you are also a person of value. Thank you, Uncle. Gu Ran immediately picked up the newspaper and walked back to his room. Andrew beat his chest and stamped his feet. Oh, I just passed away with £8. No, no. Next time, I must first ask Gu how he feels, and follow Gu to buy. After Gu Ran returned to the room, he immediately closed the door and silently waved his fists wildly towards the sky. Cool. End of this chapter. Chapter 11. Sophie, why? £8 is neither too much nor too little. But what really excites Gu Ran about this cold fight is that the information gap after rebirth is indeed correct. This is also a test. In the future, if you encounter an unpopular game with a deep memory, you can still have such a small game to earn some pocket money. Of course, never be greedy. Things like spinach are tantamount to grabbing meat from the dealer on the tip of a knife. The spinach company will naturally not care about the small amount of cold. After all, this is a small group of people who are always lucky in the world, and the spinach company can afford it because they make money on the cold. More. However, if you are greedy for a large amount of betting cold, you will have to be investigated and held accountable by the gaming company without having to do it 3 times. Even if nothing can be found from the investigation, the gambling company will play a rogue and directly declare that the bet is invalid. Therefore, once in a while, it is enough to earn a little pocket money for a small amount of money. Moisturizing, just right. If you want to make a lot of money, get ahead, and really enjoy yourself, you still have to rely on football. There is nothing better than galloping on the green field and enjoying the excitement brought by dopamine. The top priority is to start your football career as soon as possible. Gu Ran cleared away distracting thoughts and concentrated his consciousness. Immediately, a cold system prompt sounded in my mind. Light. Reminder, the host's current system rating is D level. Gu Ran frowned slightly. D, junk level, no way. This system rating is based on the comprehensive rating of the host's various ability levels. The host's current identity is a student, and the main ability is science knowledge. Oh. Gu Ran immediately understood. Although he has picked up a lot of football training results now, in the system's comprehensive rating, the proportion of football is obviously not enough. After all, just after being reborn, everything started from scratch. Light. Reminder, when the host's personal rating is raised to sea level, the upper limit of picking up will remain the same, but the picking up range will be increased from 5 meters to 10 meters, and when the bubble is generated, the content of the bubble can be displayed in advance, and the bubble will be turned on. Mind-picking function. What the hell? Class C is not bad, not only the pickup range has been improved, but also what is inside the bubbles can be displayed in advance. Most importantly, you can use your mind to pick up bubbles in the air. In this way, you don't need to pick up those junk skills, and it's very labor-saving, and you don't have to take a step forward embarrassingly. I have to find a way to hurry up and upgrade my personal rating. The question is, how to upgrade? Reminder, when the host obtains and uses 10 talent points, the host's personal rating will be upgraded to sea level. After obtaining and using 20 talent points after sea level, it will be upgraded to B level, and after B level is obtained and after using 50 talent points, it will be upgraded to A level. Etc. Talent points. What is this, and perfect bubbles, never picked it up. Gu Ran was stunned. Light. Reminder, talent points can be obtained directly by picking up 100 points of negative emotional points in the perfect bubble, or through professional training results. When the personal rating is D, every time you need to collect 100 hours of training results, you can convert 1 point of talent points. Oh, understood. In other words, the 10 hours of ball juggling and 10 hours of lower body training that I picked up before can be accumulated and converted into corresponding football talent points. The training results picked up before have accumulated for 40 hours. If you want to exchange for 1 talent point, you need to pick up another 60 hours of training results. This system has such an idea. However, a perfect bubble with 100 points of negative emotions is very difficult to obtain. It seems that after 12 o'clock tonight, it is really necessary to ask Sophie to come over and have a try. Although I don't know why Sophie is so angry today, I hope she can keep it like this forever. After figuring out the personal rating, Gu Ran planned in his mind what to try tonight, and at the same time picked up the Southern Football News that he borrowed from Andrew. In the past, Gu Ran would not have wasted his time reading football tabloids. But it's different now. Next Monday, the day after tomorrow, Gu Ran will go to the school team to have a one-on-one duel with Russ Stripe. This duel must be won, and it must be won beautifully. Only by defeating Russ Stripe in front of the school team coach, can you have the opportunity to join the school team, and only by joining the school team can you get into the football professional bubble more conveniently. This is a crucial step in launching a football career. With Gu Ran's current ability, it's no problem to bounce the ball, but if he really wants to fight Russ Stripe on the court, he's probably still a lot worse. It would be much easier to pick up the professional bubbles of professional players before Monday. Gu Ran's eyes were suddenly attracted by a piece of news. This Sunday, the famous football star David Beckham will shoot a Pepsi commercial at Southampton's famous Sand Dune Beach, and the Sand Dune Beach will be temporarily closed until the end of the commercial shooting. Beckham comes to Southampton Beach to shoot commercial. Is it the ad for kicking a ball into a trash can from 40 meters away with bare feet? Gu Ran's eyes lit up immediately. A bold idea emerged. Night. Gu. It's time to eat. Sally Turner called out kindly. Here we come, Aunt Sally. Gu Ran washed his hands and sat down in his seat. Sophie sat opposite Gu Ran, her pretty face was still full of resentment. Seeing Sophie like this, Gu Ran was relieved a lot. 100 negative emotion points, it's up to tonight. Sophie, eat a lamb's kidney. Gu Ran smiled and pushed his own in front of Sophie. Sophie glared at Gu Ran angrily, I'm full. After speaking, Sophie got up and went upstairs angrily. Andrew frowned and said, this child, it's getting more and more outrageous. Gu specially gave her such a delicious lamb kidney, but she didn't appreciate it. Gu, if you don't eat it, I'll eat it first. After all, it doesn't taste good when it's cold. Gu Ran hurriedly said, Uncle, you eat what you eat. Sally couldn't help complaining, Sophie, she eats such a small amount every time and stops eating. How can her breasts grow up? She is already 17 years old. When I was her age, I was already D. Gu Ran buried his head in eating mashed potatoes with mustard. It's not easy for him to interrupt at a time like this. Mom, Sophie shouted from the third floor, don't think I can't hear what you're saying. Not to be outdone, Sally yelled at the third floor, so what do you hear? Isn't what I said the truth? Your dad's breasts are bigger than yours. Ha! Sophie had already collapsed. Andrew blushed, and continued to gnaw on the lamb's kidney pie sullenly. Gu Ran almost spit out rice. Aunt Sally is still fierce, double kill. The family environment of foreigners is really open. After dinner, Gu Ran went out for a walk for an hour, and then returned to his room to wait quietly. Just arrived at 12 midnight. Gu Ran picked up his phone and sent a text message to Sophie who was far away on the third floor, are you asleep? After a while, Sophie didn't respond. Gu Ran sighed helplessly, ready to sleep. It seems that there is no game tonight. The talent bubble with 100 negative emotion points is really not so easy to pick up. Just as Gu Ran closed his eyes and was about to go to sleep, he heard the phone beside his pillow ding-dong. Sophie, why? End of this chapter. Chapter 12 Sophie Turner's 100 negative emotion points got whoring. What? What the hell? Of course you can't reply like that. Gu Ran looked at Sophie's message and laughed. It seems that this little girl is still angry. Although I don't know why she is angry, but, great. Gu Ran immediately replied, Sophie, you said that if I can win Russ Stripe, then you will do what I say, you don't know what to say. At this moment, Sophie in the boudoir on the third floor covered herself in the quilt, her heart beating wildly. I knew it, he really mentioned it. Ah, how to do. I did promise, I can't keep my word, right? However, what should I do if he asks me too much? It's so late now, and both parents are asleep, he is looking for me at this time, he must be making such excessive demands on me. Sophie bit her lip, thought for a long time, and replied, you help me get rid of the entanglement of Russ Stripes, and in return, I can help you wash your clothes. What a way to pretend to be stupid. Gu Ran smiled, and quickly replied, it's not laundry, it's hard to say in the text message, or you can come to my room, be gentle, and don't wake up your parents. Seeing Gu Ran's text message, the corner of Sophie's mouth twitched. Lighter? Really? He really wanted to do that to me. Gu Ran. You big bastard. Fortunately, I always thought you were a handsome nerd, but I didn't expect you to be a stinky hooligan in a handsome man's skin. You don't really think that you can play hooligans just because you are handsome, right? Sophie replied angrily, do you think it's appropriate for you to let me go to your room at this late hour? Gu Ran replied, That's right, actually I can also go to your room, but you live on the upper floor of your parents' bedroom, I'm afraid we will wake up your parents if we move a little too loudly. Sophie blushed instantly. Gu Ran, you also know not to wake up my parents. You really want to do that to me, you are dead, I must teach you a lesson today. I want to let you know that I, Sophie, am definitely not the easy girl you thought. Sophie tried to calm down her emotions, and replied, you wait. Gu Ran replied, well, I'll wait for you. By the way, don't wear stockings, I'm afraid I might accidentally break them for you. Sophie couldn't help shaking. Excessive. Unacceptable. This stinky bastard. Sophie grabbed a baseball bat directly from behind the door, without even changing her pajamas, and went downstairs barefoot. Coming to Gu Ran's door, Sophie suppressed her anger, hid the baseball bat behind her back, and gently opened the door. Seeing Sophie coming so soon, Gu Ran sat up from the bed in surprise. Sophie. You really keep your word, time is short, so let's hurry up and start. Sophie clenched the baseball bat behind her with a stern face. Okay. How do you want to start? Gu Ran said, get down. What? You are so straightforward. Sophie's almond-eyed eyes widened, ready to show off. Gu Ran said, the more direct the better for this kind of thing. Don't worry, the floor is very clean. I cleaned it specially, so you can rest assured. Sophie was about to explode in anger. Well, you Gu Ran, aren't you even allowed to sleep on the bed, right on the ground? Sophie secretly looked for an opportunity, ready to go around and give Gu Ran a blow in the head. Gu Ran explained the essentials of the movement on his own. After you lie down, support the ground with your arms, keep your shoulders, elbows and wrists in the same straight line, tighten your abdomen, straighten your back, don't slump your waist and raise your butt. This kind of push-ups is considered standard. I guess it's your first time. If it's your first time, don't worry, let's do, push-ups first. Sophie held up a baseball bat. Gu Ran looked back and saw Sophie holding a baseball bat. Sophie asked in astonishment, you called me to your room at night just to do push-ups? Gu Ran said. Otherwise? Sophie was angry and anxious. You actually, just asked me to do push-ups. Sophie was furious in her heart. I am the beauty of Southampton Private School. I am so beautiful, you have unreasonable thoughts about me, I can understand it. But you asked me to do push-ups in the middle of the night. Gu Ran. Go to hell. Sophie swung her baseball bat angrily. Gu Ran flashed quickly, grabbed Sophie's slender wrist with his backhand, and explained seriously, I'm helping you. Push-ups can promote blood circulation in the chest, so that you can develop normally. Isn't this very reasonable? The corner of Sophie's mouth twitched, and she yelled frantically, are you still reasonable with me? Gu Ran. I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you. Gu Ran quickly covered Sophie's mouth. Sophie, keep your voice down. Don't wake up your parents. How can Sophie, with her thin arms and legs, break free from Gu Ran's suppression? Sophie simply bit Gu Ran's hand with her mouth. Gu Ran hissed, frowning in pain. Light. Feeling 100 negative emotion points from Sophie Turner, system bubbles are being generated. What the hell? Did it really come true? Although his hand was bitten, Gu Ran was overjoyed. 100 points, you can directly pick up a talent point bubble. I thought this process would be very difficult, at least until Sophie reluctantly finished 30 push-ups to achieve it. Unexpectedly, just a few words, the little girl's emotions exploded. Sophie, if I wasn't afraid that you might misunderstand me as a hooligan, I really want to slap you now. At this moment, a big red bubble appeared in front of Sophie. The light of the red bubbles almost overflowed beyond the bubbles, and it was more advanced than the blue bubbles at first glance. Gu Ran happily took a step forward, supported Sophie, and touched the red bubble with his toe. The bright red bubbles burst gorgeously immediately, turning into a dazzling ray of light, and pouring into Gu Ran's body. Light. The host picked up the talent point from the perfect bubble, and the pickup progress is January 10th today. Reminder, talent points can be added to any existing skill to improve the level of that skill, and can also be added to the basic attributes of a profession to improve one's own basic level. What the hell? This talent point is really a good thing. Gu Ran was about to study it in depth, but Sophie's small waist could no longer support her, and she was pinned down on the bed by Gu Ran in embarrassment. Sophie. Gu Ran. Sophie's pretty face suddenly became hot. Gu Ran, what are you doing? Quick, let me go. Oh. How about I help you first? Gu Ran asked kindly. Sophie said angrily, no need. You, get off me. Turn over. Sophie sat up in a panic, buttoning the buttons inside with both hands behind her back. Gu Ran turned his back and said comfortingly, actually, it's nothing. I really think you are a brother. I missed it just now. I was going to grab the bed and I didn't catch it right, besides, I asked you to do push-ups. It's also for your own good. Sophie finished buttoning her buttons, her hair was fluffy, her pretty face was blushing purple, her long legs like chopsticks were tightly pressed together, and there was nowhere to rest them. Gu Ran, I hate you. After speaking, Sophie picked up the baseball bat on the ground and prepared to leave. Gu Ran hurriedly said, Sophie, are you going to leave now? Didn't you promise me that you would do whatever I asked you to do? 30 times is not too much. Go after you finish. The corner of Sophie's mouth twitched, and she said without looking back, I'm tired today, let's talk about it tomorrow. Oh, another day. It's not impossible, as long as you speak well. Gu Ran smiled and said, okay, it's still this time tomorrow night, I'll wait for you. Sophie didn't speak, and limped out of Gu Ran's room. Looking at Sophie's back, Gu Ran took a deep breath of the remaining fragrance. The potential is limitless. End of this chapter. Chapter 13. I came to prostitute Beckham for nothing. Lying on the bed filled with the fragrance of Sophie's body wash, Gu Ran tossed and turned a little. All he can think about right now is how to add talent points. This is the first step in a career that has yet to unfold. According to the system prompts, talent points can be added to existing skills, or to basic attributes. The choice is very broad. The skills that Gu Ran currently possesses include hand punching, chest unbuttoning, putting on and taking off stockings, cheating on exams, realistic acting, and reasonable collision. I haven't used hand punching, putting on and taking off stockings, and cheating in exams, but I have to say, the chest button is really fast and accurate. He. Of course, Gu Ran didn't want to take the route of a professional hooligan, so he definitely couldn't add precious talent points to skills like chest button. What is worth considering are the two professional skills of realistic acting and joint force collision. Realistic acting skills are very practical, but Gu Ran doesn't plan to act in movies now, and the current +1 level is enough to handle small scenes. The skill of reasonable collision is a very important skill on the court. It stands to reason that it is more appropriate to add talent points to reasonable collisions. However, the core of a reasonable collision is not the skill of this skill, but its own strong attribute. Strongness is a must-have main attribute for central defenders and standing centers, especially in the British arena of all levels, which emphasizes physical confrontation, and any position requires a high-strength attribute. This is the most basic and necessary attribute. As Gu Ran, who often played football in his previous life, he has a deep understanding of this. Without strong physical attributes, you can't even stand up on the field. It's useless to know other skills. Skills are only refined on the basis of the original, but the foundation must first be laid. With the foundation of the strong attribute, coupled with reasonable collision skills, it is natural to be able to perform at a higher level than ordinary players. Therefore, after combining his experience of playing football in his previous life, Gu Ran decided to improve his strength first. As soon as Gu Ran's thoughts moved, the talent points in his mind immediately merged into his body. Gu Ran immediately felt that every muscle in his body had thickened by a dimension. Gu Ran couldn't help touching his muscles, hard. Light. Congratulations to the host for successfully adding points. The host's strength attribute has been increased from 58 points to 59 points. Hearing this system prompt, Gu Ran couldn't help being taken aback. Shit. So my strength attribute is so bad in the system rating, it's only 59 o'clock. The Premier League's top defenders and centers should all have a strong attribute value above 90 points, right? Sure enough, the current body is still too weak. A strength value of 59, not to mention compared with the top defenders and centers in the Premier League, even compared with the amateur school team, is far behind. Among other things, if the strength value of the rust strip is based on the system evaluation standard, I am afraid it must be at least 65 points. Going one-on-one with Rust Stripe in the arena will definitely suffer. There are 2 days left, so hurry up and pick it up. Tomorrow night, I have to pick up Sophie's talent level bubble again. How can I make Sophie feel emotional again? Forget it, don't think about it. Anyway, this little girl doesn't know what's wrong recently, she gets angry every now and then. Tomorrow, let's go whoring Beckham first. Gu Ran stretched her waist happily, and soon fell into a sweet dreamland. The next morning, the sun was shining brightly. Gu Ran got up refreshed, ate 2 slices of toast and fried scallops, and hurried out. In the past at this time, he would study in his own room. But now, he has more important and more worthy goals. At 8:30 in the morning, Gu Ran took a taxi to Dune Beach, a famous scenic spot in Southampton. There are not only unique dunes, but also swings by the sea. The sea breeze in the morning is still a bit cold and damp. Looking around, you can see the clear sea water and many rusty shipwrecks far from the coastline. The rising sun is between the sky and the sea. Everything is as beautiful as an oil painting. At this time, the staff in charge of security had already begun to set up a cordon, and the entire beach was surrounded by an area of more than 200 meters. Gu Ran took out the blonde wig bought on the road from his backpack and put it on his head, glued on a mustache, and put on a vest with the word "photographer" printed on it, and then swaggered towards the cordon. This is Gu Ran's bold plan. He wants to play the role of a photographer to get close to Beckham, and then find opportunities to go whoring a few more times. That's David Beckham, golden right foot, full moon scimitar, everyone in the stadium. Even Beckham's ordinary bubbles must be super awesome. When the security guard in charge of clearing the scene saw someone approaching, he immediately stepped forward with a straight face. Before the security guard could speak, Gu Ran said in a rough voice, "What's going on? Why hasn't Beckham arrived yet? What about the other staff? Why didn't my camera come? Damn it! Did I remember the time wrong?" Realistic acting skills, coupled with a typical Southern English accent, make Gu Ran's performance very natural, as if he is really a photographer who has misread the time due to overwork at night. The security guard was obviously intimidated by Gu Ran's aura. "I'm sorry sir, you must have misremembered the time, and they won't arrive until half an hour later." Gu Ran frowned and said, "Mom, fuck. Half an hour? Such a good light angle, it will be gone in half an hour. No, I have to call and urge them to come quickly." After speaking, Gu Ran took out his mobile phone, randomly pressed a few numbers, and walked into the cordon while making a call. "Hello? It's me, why are you still not here? What? You have already set off. Shit. I don't know, I heard the voice of room service over there. Hurry up, or you will miss the best light." Although the security guard was stunned for a while, he still followed Gu Ran dutifully. "Sir, according to the regulations, please show me the relevant certificate." Before the security guard finished speaking, Gu Ran frowned and said, "This damn sea breeze is really cold. You, go and buy me a cup of hot coffee first, remember not to add sugar." Gu Ran took out 2 50-pound notes from his pocket and handed them to the security guard who wanted to refuse to buy coffee for him. Gu Ran said generously, "The money left over from buying coffee is your tip." The security guard's eyes lit up, he hurriedly took the banknotes, and his attitude turned 180 degrees. "Okay sir, I'll be right back." Sure enough, at the critical moment, it is not enough to rely on acting skills alone, you still have to use money to settle the situation. £250, it was a very large expenditure for Gu Ran in the past, but now, it's just a sprinkling of water. Gu Ran sat on the swing by the sea and waited for 5 minutes before the security guard trotted over with a cup of hot black coffee. "Sir, there is no sugar in your hot coffee." The security guard had a flattering face, and had no intention of checking Gu Ran's ID at all. Gu Ran crossed his legs, took the coffee. "Thank you, you can go to work now, I want to sit alone for a while, and quietly conceive the shot." "Yes, sir." The security guard happily ran away. Gu Ran secretly heaved a sigh of relief, while admiring the beautiful sea view, he picked up the coffee cup and took a sip. "Fuck, it's so painful. Saying no sugar, I'm just pretending to be tough, there's no need to order me such a pure and bitter black coffee, right?" While there was no one around, Guran quietly spit the coffee back into the cup, and only used the coffee cup to warm his hands. After half an hour, 7 or 8 security vehicles parked on the beach road. Sleepy-eyed football superstar Beckham stepped out of the nanny van, surrounded by many staff members, and walked towards the dune beach. Here he is, at last. Guran took a deep breath, trying to suppress the urge to rush up to find Beckham's autograph. I didn't come here to get Beckham's autograph today. I'm here to whore for nothing. End of this chapter. Chapter 14 Heartthrob, Beckham. David Beckham, a football superstar who came out of the youth training of the Premier League giants Manchester United. There is one thing to say, Beckham is not considered the most powerful group of contemporary stars, but Beckham is definitely the most handsome player among the kickers. Kaka is also very handsome, but Kaka's fashion sense is not as good as Beckham. Santa Cruz is also very handsome, but Santa Cruz cannot be regarded as a first-class star. Moreover, Beckham also has his own unique stunt. In the first round of the Premier League in 1996, in Manchester United's game against Wimbledon, the young Beckham kicked from the midfield and shot a super long-range lob from 60 meters away, becoming famous with one goal. Beckham's passing is very precise, especially the iconic, full moon scimitar. Therefore, although Beckham's breakthrough is very poor, and he hardly excels at others, his commercial value is obviously higher than that of other stars with his one-handed tricks, coupled with his sky-defying appearance. Beckham in 2010 was already at the end of his football career. After experiencing the glory and peak of Manchester United and Real Madrid, now 35-year-old Beckham joined AC Milan. Beckham was not selected for the 2010 World Cup squad due to a left ankle injury in club competitions and his age. This made Beckham very depressed, but it also gave Beckham time to shoot commercials to make money. As one of the top football superstars in the UK at this stage, Beckham's commercial value far exceeds that of British first-line actors and singers, and is even higher than his wife, Spice, Victoria. When Beckham yawned and walked into the beach, someone immediately placed a comfortable lounge chair behind him. As soon as Beckham lay down, the service staff behind him immediately held up a big parasol for him. Beckham lay on the recliner with his legs crossed, as if he was on vacation. On the other side of the beach, there are also 5 tall professional players who have been warmed up and trained. These players have obviously been selected from the English Championship for the David Beckham commercial. Guran was holding his coffee, standing aside and secretly wondering, why are there other players, isn't this the advertisement that was filmed 40 meters away? At this time, a man who looked like an advertising director came running over with a nodding bow, squatting in front of the reclining chair to speak to Beckham. However, Beckham interrupted the director with a wave of his hand, and said in his signature feminine voice, "I need a cup of coffee. Without coffee, I can't get into the mood at all." The director immediately stood up and shouted, "Coffee. Mr. Beckham needs coffee. Quick." Immediately, dozens of people in the entire filming crew were in a mess, and the service staff rushed out to buy coffee for Beckham. Guran looked down at the coffee cup in his hand, and quickly hid it behind him. This coffee is no longer a serious coffee, and it cannot be given to the superstar Beckham. Guran's movement of hiding the coffee was actually seen by Beckham. "Wait, don't you guys have it ready?" Beckham pointed at the coffee in Guran's hand. Guran was taken aback for a moment. Before he could think of what to say, the director rushed over and grabbed the coffee cup from Guran's hand. "Bring it to you. Everyone just came to the shooting set, why are you so small? Dare the photographer drink coffee before Mr. Beckham?" I am not, Guran hurriedly said, "This coffee can't be drunk. This coffee is cold." Beckham took the coffee from the director. "Great, I like to drink cold coffee since I was a child, if it is really hot coffee, I still can't drink it." "Shit." Seeing that Beckham had brought the cup to his mouth, Guran hurriedly said again, "Wait. This coffee is very bitter." Beckham laughed again. "How do you know that I like to drink cold and bitter coffee? This kind of coffee is the favorite of purebred British gentlemen." Guran was really anxious this time. Don't. This coffee is." Before Guran could finish speaking, Beckham raised his cup and drank all the coffee in one gulp. "It's so fragrant. So mellow." Beckham seemed to come alive. "This is the real coffee. Believe it or not, I even drank the long-lost haggis from this cup of coffee. Taste." This is how many times stronger than espresso. This photographer brother, thank you for this cup of coffee. I will not drink your coffee for nothing, I consign you. Oh, yes, what did you want to say just now? Gu Ran shook his head, forget it, you've already drank, so I'd better not talk about it. Beckham smiled and said, it's okay, just tell me, I also want to know everything about this cup of coffee, I can't wait to serve 3 cups like this again. What the hell? Just say it, maybe you can just take this opportunity to prostitute a bubble. Gu Ran pretended to be helpless and sighed, oh, what I wanted to say was, I've already drank this cup of coffee. That's it? Beckham smiled heartily, although I am a star now, as a football player, I am not as particular as an entertainment star. It doesn't matter if you drink it. The director next to him licked directly, look. Mr. Beckham is so approachable. Gu Ran continued, I took a sip and felt it was too bitter, so I vomited it back. Beckham smiled and said, that's okay, huh? The charming smile on Beckham's face immediately froze. The director continued to lick, Mr. Beckham is so simple. I dare say that there is no more simple football superstar in this world than Mr. Beckham. Ugh, ugh. Beckham lay prone on the armrest of the recliner, retching vigorously. The director also reacted, and retched together. Gu Ran shrugged, look, I said I can't drink it, but you still want to drink it. Light. Feeling 65 points of negative emotion from David Beckham, system bubbles are being generated. Light. Feeling 41 points of negative emotion from James Dolores, system bubbles are being generated. Oh who? Gu Ran's eyes lit up. Beckham's negative emotion value is so high. It's normal to think about it, after all, a world-class football star drank my saliva. Also, this guy named James Dolores should be the director of the commercial that licked Beckham madly, right? Hey, I don't know what kind of director skills it will be. At this time, beside Beckham and the director, a blue bubble that was still full appeared. Gu Ran suppressed the excitement in his heart, and while Beckham and the director were still retching, he quietly touched the 2 blue bubbles with his feet. The 2 blue bubbles exploded brilliantly immediately, turning into 2 light threads, and merged into Gu Ran's body. Light. The host picked up the skill from the filled bubbles, director's communication skill +1, today's pickup progress is February 10th. Reminder, this skill allows the host to communicate with the actors one-on-one from the director's point of view. The communication effect will be better at night. As the skill level increases, the persuasion to the actors will also increase. In addition to being used on actresses, it can also be used on male actors. Be careful when using it. Gu Ran. This hell, is it a serious director skill? Is this skill spelled wrong? Is it the director's communication skills, or the director's communication skills? Wait, I think I figured out why this ad featured those 5 tall players. Shit. This is a director with a story. Forget it, don't overwhelm yourself with too many skills. Besides, what we are looking forward to is not the skills of the director, but the skills of football superstar Beckham. Little beige, don't cheat. Light. End of this chapter. Chapter 15. Can you prostitute for nothing while lying down? Light. The host picked up the skill from the filled bubbles, glamorous smile +1, today's pickup progress is March 10th. What? Gu Ran was completely shocked. What the hell is this shit? Where is the full moon scimitar I want? Where is my golden right foot? What about the super long lob I want? Give me a girl picking skill is useless, am I going to confuse my opponent with a smile on the court? Reminder, this skill can make the host's smile produce an uncontrollable heartbeat reaction to girls, and the effect on Victoria Beckham is doubled. Isn't Victoria Beckham? Is it alright for Mrs. Beckham to double her love for me? I feel like I'm out of order. This wave is really a shame, the 2 bubbles are so cheating. Gu Ran was feeling depressed, the director recovered his breath, frowned and glared at Gu Ran, no, where are you from as a photographer? I've been wondering since I got the coffee just now, why haven't I seen it before, you? Gu Ran's heart skipped a beat, but his face remained calm. It's time for realistic acting again. Gu Ran said calmly, Director James Dolores, you haven't really forgotten, have you? We met last night. I told you that I was the photographer Edward Starr who was sent by the superior to assist in the shooting. You just let me go directly to the beach. Edward Stark. The director looked confused, trying to search his memory. The director felt that he didn't know Edward Stark, but the name sounded familiar, and Gu Ran could easily say his full name. The director himself was a little confused. Gu Ran lowered his voice and said, "After you finish chatting with me, go back to the RV to communicate with a handsome guy who plays football." The director immediately put his arms around Gu Ran's shoulders. "Aha! I remembered, Edward. That's right, the superiors always mentioned you and said that your skills are very good. So what, the photographer I brought today, it's enough, you just stand aside and assist casually." "Exactly what I want." Gu Ran grinned. "Okay, director." The director asked Beckham cautiously, "Mr. Beckham, are you feeling better? Are you ready to shoot?" Beckham waved his hands palely. The director immediately said, "Mr. Beckham said that there is no problem. Let us applaud the dedicated Mr. Beckham. Attention all departments, those 5 football actors, hurry up and take their seats." Beckham. Soon, the actors began to walk out. Gu Ran followed the close-up photographer, pretending to assist. After going through the scene once, Gu Ran understood the content of the advertisement. There are no lines in this ad. The general meaning is that Beckham is on a leisurely vacation at the beach. A few muscular guys came to challenge him to play football. The guy is impressed. After understanding the content of the ad, Gu Ran couldn't help shaking his head secretly. Theoretically speaking, such an advertising idea is more suitable for Messi and Ronaldinho, but not suitable for Beckham. Let Beckham show people. Beckham's shortcoming is that he is extraordinary. Although it is considered creative to say that taking a sip of Pepsi can make Beckham surpass others, as Beckham himself, he must not be able to shoot the smooth passing in the director's mind. People effect. Really. After the real shooting started, Beckham tried more than a dozen times, but he couldn't pass the 5 strong guys smoothly. The 5 strong guys the director found were not bad, and all of them were young and vigorous. Several times, Beckham was almost pinned down on the beach by strong guys. This scene made the director very anxious. Beckham became more and more impatient, either kicking the opponent down with his feet, or kicking off the ball with a big foot, so that he couldn't catch up. After filming for half an hour, the commercial film made no progress, not even a decent shot was needed. "Don't shoot yet." Beckham finally broke out and returned to rest on the recliner with a flick of his hands. The 5 strong boys stood on the beach at a loss as they spread their hands and shrugged. The director squatted on the beach with his head in his arms, thinking, and the commercial shooting came to an impasse. As a bystander, Gu Ran was thinking about whether to give advice to the director, when suddenly a familiar system prompt sounded in his mind. Light. Feeling 76 points of negative emotion from David Beckham, system bubbles are being generated. Oh who? Gu Ran was taken aback for a moment. It's not my negative emotions that arouse. During the half an hour of filming, I didn't say anything, I didn't do anything. Beckham has negative emotions, and it should be towards those 5 strong guys. Could it be that, as long as anyone within 5 meters of me has any negative emotions, I can pick them up? Gu Ran looked up, and sure enough, a blue-filled bubble appeared under Beckham's feet. Aha! It's so cool. As long as my pickup range is larger, I will be able to prostitute for nothing even lying down in the future. It's a pity that the upper limit of picking up is 10 per day, and I don't know how high the personal rating can be raised to break through this upper limit. Light. Before Gu Ran walked over to pick up Beckham's bubbles, the system beeped one after another. Feeling 35 points of negative emotion from Nelson Matt, system bubbles are being generated. Light. Feeling 38 points of negative emotion from Maurice Jeremy, system bubbles are being generated. Light. Feeling 40 negative emotion points from Roz Emmanuel, system bubbles are being generated. Light. Feeling 43 points of negative emotion from Raleigh Kawolf, system bubbles are being generated. Light. Feeling 45 points of negative emotion from Boyle Borg, system bubbles are being generated. White ordinary bubbles appeared around the 5 strong young players from the British Championship team. Good guy. It turned out that these 5 young players from the British Championship team were secretly dissatisfied with Beckham. While Guran was feeling secretly refreshed, he walked past these strong young players and touched the 5 bubbles one by one. The 5 white bubbles turned into 5 light filaments respectively and merged into Guran's body. Lamp the host picked up the results from the ordinary bubbles, leg training plus 10 hours, today's pickup progress is April 10th. Lamp the host picked up the results from ordinary bubbles, aerobic long distance running training plus 10 hours, today's pickup progress is May 10th. Lamp the host picked up the results from ordinary bubbles, anaerobic acceleration training plus 10 hours, today's pickup progress is June 10th. Lamp the host picked up the results from ordinary bubbles, dribbling training plus 10 hours, today's pickup progress is 7/10. Lamp the host picked up the results from the ordinary bubbles, comprehensive strength training plus 10 hours, today's pickup progress is 8 out of 10. Cool. Guran instantly felt that his physical condition had improved again. The white bubbles of these 5 championship-level players are all on time. This wave is equivalent to completing 50 hours of special training with high intensity. Moreover, plus the 40 hours accumulated before, then only 10 more hours of training results can be exchanged for a precious talent point. Other professional players need to sweat profusely for 100 hours of training to increase one attribute value, but Guran only needs to prostitute for nothing. This wave of picking is not over yet. Under Beckham's feet, there is a blue bubble with a negative emotion value of 76 points. This time, you should be able to get a useful football professional skill, right? End of this chapter. Chapter 16 Breaking Beckham's Defense. Guran walked towards the depressed Beckham, and stretched out his feet to covertly touch the blue bubble. The blue bubble immediately exploded and turned into a ray of light, which flowed into Guran's body. Light. The host picked up professional football skills from the filled bubbles, golden right foot, accurate long pass +1, today's pickup progress is September 10th. Oh hoo. A steady smile appeared on the corner of Guran's mouth. Finally got a decent football skill. Golden right foot, precise long pass. This is Beckham's specialty. In Guran's mind, Beckham's wonderful cooperation with Zidane and Ronaldo in Real Madrid instantly appeared. Immediately afterwards, Guran felt that the muscle distribution of his right foot was undergoing subtle and real changes. The right ankle, which was a bit stiff and inflexible, now seems to have been injected with lubricant so cool. Guran can't wait to throw a long pass right now. No hurry. There is still a pickup progress today, so don't give away. I have to figure out a way to fuck Beckham one more time. Guran looked at Beckham, his eyes full of longing. Seeing Guran staring at him, Beckham thought that Guran was sent by the director to urge him to shoot, and immediately said angrily, "Don't bother me. What kind of bad commercial is this? I don't want to shoot anymore." Guran smiled steadily, "Mr. Beckham, you are right, the idea of this advertisement is really bad. I have an idea, why don't you listen to it?" Beckham said angrily, "You? Aren't you just a backup photographer? What good ideas can you have?" Guran said calmly, "Director James' idea is to let you show your breakthrough skills, but this actually exposes your shortcomings, and my idea is to show your strengths, the full moon scimitar." Beckham immediately became interested. "Oh. How to show it?" Guran pointed to the distance of the beach. "There are 3 trash cans over there, you can use your unique skill of the full moon scimitar to kick the ball into each of the 3 trash cans at a distance of 40 meters. A bottle of iced Pepsi, in this way, you can not only show your shocking footwork, but also enhance the brand of Pepsi by the way." This plan is exactly the final content of Beckham's Pepsi commercial. In fact, even without Guran, the director would eventually figure out such a shooting plan. However, Guran took the first step and directly provided this plan to Beckham when everyone was at a loss. Beckham was slightly taken aback. "Hiss, that's a good idea." Guran suddenly shook his head again. "Oh, no, 40 meters is too far, I don't think you can kick it in, so forget it." Beckham was immediately provoked. "I can't do it. Get the ball. Today I will show you what a real moon scimitar is." Guran pretended to be embarrassed and sighed. "Okay then, let's try." Guran asked the staff to find 3 footballs, and he himself activated a hidden fixed camera. Barefoot, Beckham lined up 3 footballs on the uneven sand. Immediately afterwards, Beckham made a small jumping run-up, his knees were slightly bent, his body was tilted 45 degrees to the side of the supporting leg, and his right foot hit the lower right side of the football. When the ball took off, his thigh also swung forward. Full moon scimitar. The football drew a scimitar-like arc in the air, and precisely fell into the trash can 40 meters away. The audience at the scene suddenly exclaimed. This is exactly Beckham's unique footwork. This kind of footwork technique is difficult to imitate, not because of the high degree of difficulty, but because once the ankle is not well controlled, it will suffer from it, and the chance of injury is very high. The average player does not dare to bet on his career. Practice this technique. Moreover, even if the arc of the scimitar can be kicked without injury to the ankle, without the accuracy bonus of the golden right foot, it is still impossible to achieve the real full moon scimitar. If you want to kick Beckham's perfect round moon scimitar, you must control the strength of your ankle and the precision of your footwork. Guren already has Beckham's golden right foot, accurate long pass +1, and his knowledge of footwork has naturally improved to a higher level, judging from the effect of Beckham's round moon scimitar. According to the system's rating, Beckham's own golden right foot is at least +9, and the moon scimitar skill is at least +9. Guren secretly sighed in his heart, this is the level of strength of an international superstar. How many times did Beckham practice, how much sweat, how many times did he get hurt, before he finally mastered the double skill +9 footwork? And I must work hard, or for nothing. At this time, Beckham continued to use his unique round moon scimitar to kick the second ball and the third ball into the trash can 40 meters away. Perfect, absolute perfection. The audience at the scene all spontaneously applauded and cheered. Beckham was also full of complacency. Hey, that backup photographer. Do you still think I'm not good enough? Guren turned off the fixed camera, and said with a smile, Ginger is really old and hot. Mr. Beckham is already 35 years old this year, and he can still kick such a perfect full moon scimitar, amazing sharp. Beckham laughed and said, Who are you saying is old? Guren spread his hands, acting as if I was just telling the truth, otherwise. This time England didn't recruit you into the team for this World Cup. Their excuse was that you were injured, but your injury has obviously healed. But the England national team still hasn't recruited you into the team. Why don't they dislike you for being old? They're just putting it bluntly, to save you face. Beckham was stunned. Guren's truth is so heartbreaking. Entering the national team to play in the World Cup is what Beckham most desires. Now, he clearly recovered from his foot injury, but he was not called up by the national team. That's right, it doesn't mean he thinks he's old, so what? Fuck, there is no way to serve the country. Thinking of this, Beckham completely broke his defense, I want to go to the national team. I'm not old. I can still play. I can still run. Even if they make me a substitute. I want to play in the World Cup. They actually despise me for being old. They actually despise me for being old. Seeing that Beckham's mentality collapsed, Guren was really a little excited. Light. Feeling 91 points of negative emotion from David Beckham, system bubbles are being generated. Oh ho! 91 negative emotion points. It seems that this time really pierced Beckham's heart. With such a high negative emotion value, you must be able to pick up top star skills, right? At this time, a blue-filled air bubble appeared at Beckham's feet. Guren immediately walked up to Beckham, patted Beckham's shoulder lightly with his hand to express comfort, and at the same time touched the blue bubble with his foot. The blue bubble immediately exploded brilliantly, turning into a ray of light and entering Guren's body. End of this chapter. Chapter 17. The football is bought instead, the villa is near the sea. Light. The host picked up professional football skills from the filled bubbles, free kick, full moon scimitar +1, today's pickup progress is October 10th. Cool. It really is the full moon scimitar. Today's pickup was perfect. The goals of the precise long pass and the round moon scimitar have been achieved. The slow-motion details of Beckham kicking the round moon scimitar instantly appeared in Guren's mind. Immediately afterwards, Guren felt that the muscles of his legs were becoming stronger, and his ankle and knee joints were also becoming more flexible. Today's pickup is complete. Guren calmly said to Beckham, who was still weeping bitterly, "Don't be sad, Mr. Beckham, at least your commercial filming is over." Beckham was taken aback. "What? Finished filming? Didn't you just let me try first?" Gu Ran smiled and said, "Don't try it, my shooting style is to pursue absolute naturalness. Believe me, your moon scimitar in its natural state is more shocking than any other situation. You can watch the replay with the director." Beckham immediately ran to the fixed camera, and the director rushed over after hearing the news and watched the replay together. "Shocking. It's really shocking." The director couldn't help but said, "Believe it or not, I was thinking about this kind of shooting method just now. It seems that the photographer recommended above really has two brushes. Mr. Beckham, just use this one. No need to make up any more shots, just pass one." Beckham wiped away his tears and said pleasantly, "The director. It's thanks to that young photographer. He set me on fire." What about others? Help me find it. I must thank him very much." The staff of the entire filming team were all busy looking for someone. Gu Ran had already sneaked out of the filming beach while Beckham was watching the replay, took off his wig and mustache, and changed his vest, hiding his achievements and fame. "Hey." As soon as he got in the taxi, Gu Ran saw an eye-popping text message pop up on his phone. "William Hill Gambling has transferred 8.6 to you. Bo Ling's bonus has arrived." Gu Ran calmly opened the betting software, chose a game at random, and bought £1,000 according to the highest odds of a surprise. Gu Ran knew very well that these two games would not be upset, so the £1,000 would definitely be lost. But this is also where Gu Ran is meticulous. "Not only will I lose today, but I will lose tomorrow, and the day after tomorrow. I have lost at least 10 games all the time. And every time spinach is bought according to the high odds, it is set to keep buying the unpopular style. In this way, after losing a few times, you can buy another unpopular one that can really win, and the spinach company will not think there is a problem even if it is to track it down. As for the remaining £7, you can enjoy it with peace of mind." As soon as Gu Ran got out of the taxi, before he had time to put his backpack back in his room, Andrew ran over and mysteriously pulled Gu Ran to the corner. Gu Ran was full of doubts. "Uncle, what are you doing?" "Gu," Andrew stroked his Xie Guanquan-style hairstyle, "tonight there is a battle between Manchester United and Liverpool, how did you buy it?" Gu Ran smiled calmly, "Uncle, last time I was purely a novice, just trying my luck." Andrew asked with a stern face, "Gu, Uncle treats you very well. Every weekend, I ask your Aunt Sally to make lamb kidney pie for you. You can't lie to Uncle. To be honest, what do you buy?" "Already?" Gu Ran said helplessly, "Buying is buying." Andrew's eyes lit up, "How did you buy it? Quick. Tell Uncle." Gu Ran smiled bitterly and said, "Uncle, I bought it blindly. It is absolutely impossible to win. You must not buy it from me." Andrew sighed, "Gu, Uncle treats you like a brother. Is that how you guard Uncle?" Gu Ran. "Well. I bought 3-1, Manchester United won in the first half, plus Liverpool Torres hat-trick, plus the final score 2-5, the odds are 275 times." Andrew was so shocked that the hairs on his head were about to stand up. "What? You really can't win with this buying method. This is completely nonsense buying method." Gu Ran secretly breathed a sigh of relief, and said with a calm smile, "I'll just say it." Andrew stroked Xie Guanquan's locks of hair, and analyzed with a serious expression, "Manchester United's first half win is no problem, but Liverpool staged a reversal at Old Trafford, the home of the Red Devils. The Red Devils are now ranked number 1 in the league. 1. Liverpool struggled even in the top 6. And the final score was 5-5. The score is so disparate. Can Liverpool score goals in the second half? Torres was very strong last season, but this season's state is obviously not good. David, can he score a hat-trick?" Gu Ran smiled calmly, "So let me tell you, Uncle, I bought it blindly. A knowledgeable and steady spinach expert like Uncle can tell at a glance that my way of buying is nonsense." Andrew heaved a sigh of relief, "But, the last time you bought 86 times the odds, you believed in your feelings. Moreover, the 2 times, the situation seems to be the same." "Good. I believe you once, the villa is near the sea." Gu Ran was taken aback, what seems the same, it's not the same at all, is it? Last time was last time, this time is this time, my uncle. Gu Ran hurriedly said, Uncle, I don't really feel anything this time, I'm really buying blindly this time. Andrew laughed, Gu, I have confidence in you. Chinese people. They all have Oriental mysterious power. No, uncle, listen to what I tell you, the thing is like this. I can't understand what I'm talking about now. Gu Ran scratched his head, wait, uncle. Didn't you say before that you only have 1,000 pounds of private money? This time, you should just buy, pounds, right? If you just use your spare money to buy 30 or 50 pounds, then lose as long as you lose, it's no big deal. Andrew raised his eyebrows mysteriously at Gu Ran, Gu, you are still young, when you reach my age, you will know that you can't reveal the amount of your private money, I still have 1,000 pounds, this matter, you can't tell your Aunt Sally. Shit. Gu Ran hurriedly persuaded, Uncle. Don't do this. Really. I really bought blindly this time. According to my buying method, I will definitely lose. Your 1,000 pounds will definitely be in vain. Andrew frowned and said, Gu, you kid, why are you still teasing me for what I said wrong last time? Didn't I just say last time that your way of buying cold goods will definitely lose? Why are you repaying me like this now? Gu Ran was at a loss for words, Uncle, then you can buy it, but don't blame me if you lose, I told you, I will definitely lose if I buy this way. Andrew was elated, 275 times the odds. Gu, do you know what this means? It means that I can earn 27 pounds. I have already figured out how to celebrate. Gu. Instead of lamb kidney pie for lunch today, we'll have fish head pie with gorgonzola cheese. As soon as Gu Ran heard the words, gorgonzola cheese, Gu Ran's stomach churned subconsciously. Uncle, I have something to do at noon, so I won't eat at home. Ah. That's such a pity, let's go tonight, just after watching the ball, and it's more delicious to have cheese and fish head cakes for dinner. Andrew's face was full of intoxication. Gu Ran hurriedly said, Uncle, I have something to do in the afternoon, I will, come back very late, please don't wait for me. Andrew said regretfully, that's such an unfortunate coincidence, do I need to give you some leftover for dinner? Gu Ran waved his hands desperately, no, thank you uncle. But it's really not necessary. Andrew smiled and said, okay then, go get busy. Only then did Gu Ran return to his room, took out the vest from the bag and put it away, tidied up briefly, and opened the door to leave. As soon as he left the room, he saw Sophie standing on the stairs with a cold and pretty face. What were you doing sneaking around the corner with my dad just now? End of this chapter. Chapter 18 Don't mess with the heartthrob smile. Oh, nothing. Facing Sophie's questioning, Gu Ran explained calmly, your father asked me what I would like to eat for lunch, and I said I have something to eat at noon and evening, so I won't eat at home. Sophie frowned and asked, it's just about eating. Can you talk for 5 minutes? Are you happy? Gu Ran shrugged, has it been that long? Why don't I think so? Well, I'm going out. Sophie asked in surprise, you don't do the questions anymore. What are you going to do? Gu Ran said, stop brushing, I'm going to prepare for the duel with Rust Stripe tomorrow afternoon. Sophie pursed her lips, then wait for me, I'll go out with you, after all, we have an agreement. Gu Ran smiled and said, you don't want to eat at home, do you? Sophie said involuntarily, wait for me, I'll go change my clothes and put on some simple makeup. What the hell? It's almost 12 o'clock, you change your clothes and put on some makeup, neither of us can escape at noon today. Gu Ran immediately waved his hand resolutely, you are too troublesome, the agreement is suspended today, and it will be resumed tomorrow, I will go first. After finishing speaking, Gu Ran rushed out the door. Sophie stomped on the stairs angrily, okay Gu Ran. How dare you despise me for trouble? How dare you unilaterally suspend the agreement between us? You'd better not come back. Never come back. Otherwise, you see how I will deal with it. You. Gu Ran, did you hear me? Andrew frowned and poked his head out of the room, Sophie, why are you talking to Gu Ran? He's a tenant. Sophie snarled, it's up to you. Andrew immediately retracted his head. After rushing out the door, Gu Ran stretched out his hand to hail a taxi, and took the car to the largest sports store in Southampton. With more than £7 at his disposal, Gu Ran is very nourished now. He could move away from Sophie's so he wouldn't have to eat weird British food. However, although the food at Sophie's house is not delicious, Sophie, a future star, is simply a treasure that can earn talent points. If all goes well, masturbate Sophie once a night until Sophie goes to audition for Game of Thrones. Therefore, even if Gu Ran has money, he will not move out from Sophie's house for the time being. Tomorrow's duel with Rusty Stripe, so I'll have to get myself a football kit first. As soon as Gu Ran entered the door of the specialty store, a shopping guide lady who looked a bit like Max in Bankrupt Girls immediately greeted her. Gu Ran didn't wait for the shopping guide to ask, and directly called the name and said, "Give me a pair of Lionel Messi's exclusive F10 TRXFG football shoes." These are the sneakers that Gu Ran had been thinking about but was reluctant to buy in his last life. The shopping guide glanced disdainfully at the young Asian guy in front of her, and asked in a questioning tone, "Macy's special? It's very expensive. It costs £1,999. Are you sure you can afford it? Chow, who do you look down on?" Gu Ran smiled steadily, "Remember, you can doubt that anyone can't afford it, but you must never doubt the purchasing power of us Chinese." The shopping guide lady with a figure like Max was taken aback immediately. Although the Chinese guy in front of her looks young, there is a faint charm of a mature man in his gestures. The shopping guide immediately put on a charming smile, "So you are a Chinese customer. Okay, handsome sir. Please take a rest here in the VIP area, and I will get you shoes right away." Gu Ran said again in a deep voice, "Wait a minute, by the way, bring me 2 sets of football socks, 2 sets of shin pads, and 2 sets of training clothes. Take the most expensive ones." "Okay sir, please wait a moment." The shopping guide lady hurriedly went to stock up, while Gu Ran leisurely sat on the sofa in the VIP rest area drinking tea. After a while, the shopping guide trotted back to Ran's side with the big box and the small box in her arms. "Sorry for keeping you waiting." The shopping guide knelt directly at Gu Ran's feet, "Sir, let me try on the shoes for you first." "Okay." Gu Ran stretched out his foot carelessly, enjoying the high-quality service of the British shopping guide lady. Hiss. So cool. Sure enough, it's Messi's special money. As soon as these shoes were put on, Gu Ran immediately felt as if Messi had possessed him. This pair of shoes has strong wrapping and a good shape, and the outsole of FG is hard, suitable for professional natural turf, with strong grip, and the speed of sudden start can be faster. The shopping guide knelt down on the ground, tied Gu Ran's shoelaces, and praised Gu Ran, "Sir, these shoes are so handsome on your feet. I mean, you are handsome at first, but now it's so handsome that people can only look up." Ha! This brown-haired shopping guide lady has such a sweet mouth. This headlight, isn't it F? Gu Ran couldn't help but look down and smile. This smile didn't matter, the shopping guide lady who was raising her head suddenly felt as if she had been electrocuted all over, and the way she looked up at Gu Ran was obviously different. What the hell? Gu Ran suddenly realized that he had unintentionally activated the glamorous smile skill. Gu Ran quickly put away his smile, cleared his throat and said, "I'll try the feeling of my feet." "No problem at all." Before the shopping guide could finish her sentence, Gu Ran suddenly started to speed up and rushed out of the specialty store. Gu Ran is still very confident in his own speed. In his previous life, he became the striker of the Wild team because of his speed, and his teammates all praised him for his speed. The shopping guide lady stared at Gu Ran's back with eyes full of nympho, you are so handsome even when you run. Eh? Why are you missing? Come back. Sir. Come back. I can't afford to pay £1,999. Come on. People. Someone is stealing shoes. The shopping guide lady chased out of the store in embarrassment while shouting. The violent running caused her 2 headlights to fly out. As soon as the shopping guide ran to the door, she bumped into Gu Ran who was running back. With Gu Ran's strength, how can Miss Shopping Guide be her opponent? With this collision, the shopping guide lady's headlights were almost blown, and she staggered and was about to fall. Gu Ran reacted quickly, and supported the shopping guide lady. Are you okay? It's okay. The shopping guide's face was flushed, and she covered her thumping heart with one hand. Sir, you scared me to death just now. Gu Ran looked calm. What? You thought I would buy it for 0 yuan? The shopping guide laughed. 0 yuan purchase. Sir, this is the first time I've heard such an interesting word. Gu Ran said, don't worry, I just wanted to try the feeling of my feet, such expensive shoes. If I don't speed up and run back and forth, how can I try out the real feeling? The shopping guide knew what was going on now, and she smiled charmingly. Then how do you feel? It feels great. No, it feels soft. No, it should be said that it feels very cool. It's messed up. The more I think about it, the more messed up it gets. Gu Ran cleared his throat, and said with a calm expression, it feels okay, it's quite comfortable. This pair is enough. Wrap up the shoes for me, and you don't need to try other socks and sportswear, just wrap them up together for me. Aye. Good sir. The shopping guide lady is going crazy. It was the first time she met such a cheerful guest. Not only refreshing, but also handsome and mature charm. More importantly, rich. The shopping guide brought the POS machine. The total is 4,785 pounds, please enter the password here. Gu Ran coolly entered the bank card password. The transaction was successful. The shopping guide returned Gu Ran's bank card with both hands, and at the same time gave Gu Ran a wink. Gu Ran took the bank card and found that there was a small note with a phone number attached to it. The shopping guide raised her eyebrows, and squeezed the light towards Gu Ran. Call me. End of this chapter. Chapter 19. Little girl, you have to play the cards according to the routine. Shit. Miss Shopping Guide, isn't she too open? Gu Ran felt the blood rushing to his head. He quickly looked away from the shaking headlights, casually stuffed the small note into the shopping bag, turned and walked out of the specialty store. After running out of the specialty store, Gu Ran immediately found a bathroom. He washed his face vigorously to calm himself down. A 17-year-old body is still prone to hyperactivity. There's nothing wrong with it, it just proves that I'm a pretty normal young man, even a little bit good. Although my body is young, my soul is mature. I don't pay attention to such small temptations and temptations. If the actress who played Max came in person. Hey, that's another matter. Gu Ran folded the small note that smelled of Miss Shopping Guide's perfume in half, and put it back into the shopping bag. After buying the shoes, Gu Ran found a Chinese restaurant nearby, ordered a few home-cooked dishes that are commonly eaten in China, and had a delicious meal. After lunch, Gu Ran stopped by the nearby Chinese supermarket and bought some convenience food that he could make by himself. After all, eating lamb kidney pie, fish head pie, British sausages, haggis pudding, and so on every day is really unbearable. It was only after dinner that Gu Ran took the taxi home with his big bags. When I got home, it was already dark. Gu Ran walked into the living room and turned on the light, and suddenly saw Andrew sitting on the sofa, burying his hairless head in his arms. Gu Ran was taken aback. Uncle Andrew, you are. Oh, right. This must be a lost bet. Andrew raised his head and looked at Gu Ran with tears in his eyes. Gu, you are back. Manchester United swept Liverpool 4-0, Torres missed 3 good chances in front of the goal, by £1,000. Woohoo. I dare not crying in the bedroom, I am afraid that your Aunt Sally will find out, Auntie will scratch you. Andrew cried very sadly. But for some reason, seeing Andrew's Xiaguanquan-style hairstyle shaking while crying, Gu Ran couldn't help but want to laugh. It's a pity that today's pickup progress is already full. Gu Ran put down the things in his hands, and patted Andrew's shoulder comfortingly. Uncle, look, I'm just saying, I'm sure I can't win with this way of buying cold. Andrew said aggrievedly, but you won the first time you bought it. Gu Ran's face was full of magnanimity. That's a trick, it's a novice halo, you see, I bought it this time, didn't I also lose? Andrew asked, then you know you will lose, why do you still buy? Gu Ran shrugged, buy it for fun, you know, I'm not short of money now. Andrew wanted to hit someone after hearing this. Andrew sighed, it seems that I have to buy according to my own buying method in the future. I expected Manchester United to win at least 3 times at the Red Devils' home court. I could have won it. My £1,000. Andrew scratched his little hair angrily. Gu Ran said, I wish you success next time. Wait, uncle, do you still have private money? Ahem, ahem. Andrew changed the subject. Hey, Gu, what are you buying? Oh, it's nothing, it's just something you don't like to eat. Gu Ran is also a master at changing the topic. It's already late, uncle, I should go back to my room to sleep, and you should go to bed early. Andrew stared at the shopping bag in Gu Ran's hand. Oh, actually, uncle is not that picky, good night then. Good night. Gu Ran returned to his room and piled all the bags on the table. At least for a week, Gu Ran can handle breakfast by himself. Lunch can be eaten at school. As for dinner, you can say that you have to train and eat outside. In this way, you can say goodbye to the showy British food such as lamb kidney pie and haggis pudding. Of course, the first premise is that you must really be able to join the school team. Today's whole day can be regarded as a full harvest. Not to mention the 2-star level skills, there are also 5 professional football training results. If 1 talent point can be obtained from Sophie tonight, then the strength attribute will pass. Although there is still a gap with Rust Stripe in terms of strength alone, football confrontation is not just based on a single attribute. Mentality, technology, experience, etc., are all important. Strong attribute value is only the basis of confrontation. Of course, the higher the base value, the better. So the key is to let Sophie's negative emotions reach 100 tonight. Gu Ran made a quick plan in his mind: call Sophie at night, ask her to do push-ups, and deliberately pick on her faults to make her angry. This little girl Sophie has always been full of resentment recently. She was angry with me in the morning, and she must be very negative now. It is estimated that if I tease her casually, Sophie's negative emotions will fly into the sky. Simple. Everything is under control. The corner of Gu Ran's mouth raised up confidently, and he casually took out the newly bought messy football shoes from his shopping bag, breathed out, wiped and wiped, put them on and took them off and put them on again. 12 o'clock in the middle of the night. Gu Ran put down his soccer shoes, picked up his phone and sent Sophie a text message. Sophie, it's time for you to come to my room. After waiting for a long time, Sophie did not reply to the text message. Gu Ran couldn't help frowning. This little girl won't sleep, right? If he really fell asleep, it would be troublesome, and he would not be able to get the talent bubbles. Shall I call her up? It's not good, she will definitely be pissed off, ha ha ha. While thinking this way, Gu Ran found Sophie's number from the address book. Just as he was about to press the dial button, the door that was slightly closed was pushed open with a creak. Gu Ran was slightly taken aback. Under the soft moonlight, Sophie stood at the door with a pretty face. She was wearing a suspender pajamas printed with SpongeBob SquarePants, her delicate collarbone and sculptural feet were exposed, and her loose hair was full of the fragrance of shampoo. The silvery moonlight sprinkled on her icy muscles, refracting the silvery light that filled the room. Her light blue eyes were like water waves, blurred and rippling in the silver light. And her flaming red lips added a touch of heart-pounding color to the whole beauty. Gu Ran couldn't help swallowing. Sophie, you are here. Sophie folded her slender arms on her chest, and said with a cold face, Gu Ran, I was very angry with you at first, but, after you left, I thought about it all day, and I realized that I shouldn't be angry with you. We are not real boyfriend and girlfriend. It is reasonable for you not to take me with you when you go out to play. If you dislike me or you don't dislike me, what does it have to do with me? So, I'm not mad at you now. Gu Ran. Fuck, what's the situation? This is it. Sophie, how can you not be angry? You should yell at me. You should hate me for despising you. You are not angry, how did your negative emotion value reach 100? The negative emotion value is less than 100, how can I prostitute my talent points for nothing? Little girl, you have to play your cards according to the routine. Gu Ran said in a deep voice, No, Sophie, you should be angry with me, you should, what I did is really wrong. Sophie laughed instead, so, you already know you're wrong. Clam. Wait a minute, Sophie, I didn't mean that. I'm not going to apologize to you, I said that to make you angry. Gu Ran was about to explain, but Sophie smiled and said, however, it doesn't matter if you know you're wrong or not, I really don't get angry anymore. Don't worry, if I get angry with you again, I will take your last name. End of this chapter. Chapter 20. The future star is jealous. This little girl started setting up the flag again. I am a reborn mature man, how can I not be able to trick you? The corner of Gu Ran's mouth twitched slightly. Are you really not angry anymore? Sophie said confidently, of course. Gu Ran spread his hands, that's really great. However, you still have to fulfill your previous promise. Come on, get down. Sophie's pretty face was full of stubbornness, isn't it just 30 push-ups? Get down and get down. What's the matter? Gu Ran, I just want you to know that I, Sophie, never break my promise. I will do it now, after we're done, we'll all owe each other. Gu Ran didn't show any signs of expression, I'll talk after you finish first. Sophie took a deep breath, and gracefully lay down on the floor. I have to say that, as the head of the school drama club, Sophie's movements are really classic. Gu Ran said, let's begin. Sophie's whole body was tense, and her arms supported her body vigorously. After barely doing 8, Sophie's pretty face was already flushed, and her delicate body was trembling slightly. The straps of her pajamas slipped off the smooth ice-skinned shoulders, half concealed by a tiny push-up bodice. Gu Ran quickly looked away. However, I accidentally caught a glimpse of it. Sure enough, no matter how small, there are still some. It can also be seen from the change of the gathering type that Sophie is indeed secretly trying to change. But who is she trying to show to her at night? Is it for me to see? Can't you? When Sophie reached the 9th, she couldn't support her arms, and she lay on the floor, gasping for breath. There are still 21 left, I'll do it after a while. Gu Ran frowned, you think this is an installment payment? Besides, what you did just now doesn't count. Sophie lay on the ground and raised her head, staring at Gu Ran with a pair of light blue eyes. What did you say? It doesn't count. Why doesn't it count? Gu Ran pointed out with a strict teacher's appearance, your buttocks are too high, and your support movements are not in place, and your body doesn't stand up at all. You. The storm gathered on Sophie's flushed pretty face. Gu Ran, are you a devil? I'm not a professional athlete, do you have to be so strict? Gu Ran said solemnly, I'm doing this for your own good. It's a good thing to promote blood circulation in your chest. You don't want to always be right with A, do you? Gu Ran. Sophie stood up angrily and stomped her feet, I have small breasts, so it's none of your business. I'm not your girlfriend. Gu Ran spread his hands, forget it, I knew you couldn't hold on. I can. Open your eyes wide and show me. Sophie gritted her teeth angrily, lay down on the ground again, adjusted her posture, and did a new one. This one is indeed more standard than the previous ones. Gu Ran still shook his head, and continued to find fault. No, it's still not up to standard, the waist needs to be lowered, and the shoulders need to be relaxed, so this still doesn't count. You. Sophie was about to explode with anger. It's coming, it's coming. Gu Ran is full of anticipation. However, Sophie breathed a sigh of relief, suppressed her anger, and regained her calm expression. Oh, I can't be angry with you, otherwise, I really want to take your last name. If you say it's not standard, that's fine, I'll take a break and do it again. What the fuck? This is not right. Sophie, what have you experienced today? Are you really not angry today? Can you give me a way to whore? If it goes on like this, let alone the talent point of perfect bubbles for nothing, even the incomplete bubbles can't be bought for nothing. Gu Ran looked at Sophie with a depressed face. Sophie graciously sat down at Gu Ran's desk to rest. The table was a little messy, and it was full of Chinese convenience food that Gu Ran bought today. Gu Rongguan was busy looking for football shoes, so he didn't have time to tidy it up. Looking at the Chinese characters on the package, Sophie asked casually, what are these things? Gu Ran said, it's all food, Sophie, don't look at it, just keep doing push-ups. Sophie was not in a hurry, why are you in a hurry? It's a big deal that we don't sleep tonight. Now it's Gu Ran's turn to be anxious. Sophie, don't be like this. Sophie's pretty face was full of complacency, and she picked up a note in the shopping bag. What is this? Gu Ran said casually, it's nothing, it's just a phone number. Sophie looked at the beautiful handwriting on it and the love heart drawn behind the phone number. her pretty face turned cold immediately. Girl. Heh, which bar did you know? Gu Ran shrugged, I didn't go to the bar, this is just the phone number of a shopping guide lady. Sophie's voice became colder and colder, Miss Shopping Guide. Why did the shopping guide give you her phone number? Did you flirt with her when you bought her things? Gu Ran replied helplessly, she kept shaking her breasts at me, but I really didn't mean that. F chest. Sophie's entire pretty face was shrouded in black clouds. I'm not angry, I'm not angry. I am a little fairy. F chest. If I'm angry, I'll call him by last name. F chest. Heh, the dog doesn't believe that they didn't flirt. F chest. He told me this on purpose. Sophie slapped the table angrily, and shouted angrily, Gu Ran. You're such a pervert. Gu Ran quickly stepped forward and covered Sophie's mouth, the sound insulation is not good, don't shout. Light. Feeling 100 negative emotion points from Sophie Turner, system bubbles are being generated. What the fuck? Gu Ran took a breath full of surprise. What's the situation? That's okay too. Why is the negative emotion 100 all of a sudden? And many more. Sophie, are you jealous? Under Sophie's feet, a big red bubble appeared. This is the perfect level bubble for the second 100-point negative emotion. And, it's all from Sophie. Sophie, you are such a wonderful little girl. Sophie, you have no idea how much I appreciate you. Gu Ran tried his best to control the excitement in his heart. While covering Sophie's mouth, he took another step forward and touched the perfect red bubble with his toes. Sophie was pressed down by Gu Ran's muscular body, and immediately struggled and kicked desperately. The seat shook unbearably. The first time Gu Ran touched the bubble, he failed to touch it. Gu Ran hastily put in a little more strength and forcibly held Sophie down. Get this talent point first. After taking it, just find a way to coax this little girl. The bright red bubbles burst gorgeously under Gu Ran's touch, turning into a dazzling ray of light, and merged into Gu Ran's body. Light. The host picked up the talent point from the perfect bubble, and the pickup progress is January 10th today. Vomit. Cool cool. Gu Ran took a satisfied breath. Let me go. Sophie blushed, desperately struggling in Gu Ran's strong arms. Suddenly, Sophie's delicate body froze. End of this chapter.